And a good Thursday morning to you. Welcome to the EST Hangout. Matt Awanek, Tom Gazzola with you here. And we're joined by our guest today, Reid Wilkins from 630 Ched and the Oilers Radio Network, and Joaquin Gage.
Oh, he's busy.
Slinger of hot dogs and burgers at Commonwealth Stadium. You got upgraded this week at Commonwealth, too.
They recognized the skills. Yeah. And I ran my own kitchen, so I cooked everything in there. Delivered a box of burgers to the TSN crew that went over well, and Eric stopped by at the end to
before he walked home.
Before he walked home, so
and
I gave him enough to get home. He had like 8 burgers, so I guess
he gave away a bunch.
Yeah.
Oh, could you run your own kitchen, Reid?
I think I could actually. I really like. I enjoy cooking. I enjoy making people happy, and the delivery or the service of food often does that. So I think I could run my own kitchen, provided I had to serve no more than 4, maybe 5 people.
Oh, so it'd have to be
like
a Michelin star restaurant.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you would have limited reservations,
right.
But you would put so much care into every single dish you made.
Yes. So, but what's the most Michelin stars you can have? 3, I think.
Is it
4?
Is it 4?
Yeah, 4-star Michelin.
Well, I'm not saying I'd be a 4. I'd
probably be the first 5.
That's also very positive. Thank you, Matthew. So I could serve. Like I could making like homemade chip dip. I could make that.
It's a good appetizer.
I knew this was going
That's
in
a good
this direction.
And pasta with sauce.
Oh.
And so you'd have the appetizer would be some chips and dip. Appetizer would be chips and dip, homemade chips. Then, actually, I make a really good artichoke dip. And then the pasta with artichokes. And then it would be like an artichoke ice cream for dessert.
So this is like
wow.
This
that
could
is
be like
now the vegetable of the day. Yes,
I like that.
Thank you, Matthew.
I would.
Do you prefer Matt or Matthew, by the way?
It doesn't matter to me. I go by Marty from some people, so you could start calling me Marty, and I will respond.
I got a Starbucks order the other day, and on the thing it said R.I.T. for my name on the sticker.
Reet.
Yeah, Reid.
Fitting.
They just do that now, I think, just to mess with people.
I do not want
I think they do that just because like it's become a joke on the internet. So now it's like, can I get internet famous by writing a weird one?
Someone the other day told me that they use I think it was Damon Bunting. He uses I think he goes by D's, or he has another alias whenever he's at Starbucks, and it's a bit of a tricky one. And he found a 7 typed into his name on the label that they print out.
Isn't it Slumlord? Don't they just put Slumlord on the thing for Dan?
Yeah, that might be it. Like I didn't want to say it.
There's a listener of the Nelson show right
that's
there.
That's a hardcore nasty right there.
Yeah.
P1 as they call it in radio.
P1. I don't like the sound of any of this artichoke stuff, by the way. I'm learning something new about you. I've known you for like a dozen years.
I was going to say, Tom, though, I was very confused when you asked me to come on this show.
Why?
Sort of change the topic. Because you came up to me and said, will you come on EST? And I said, yes. What time? Exactly. And you said 9. I said, okay, 7. And you said, no, 9. I said, but so 11? Because EST, I thought it was Eastern Standard Time. And I was like,
that's great.
You did say that. I was like,
what are you talking about? Like, is it 9 or is it 7? Or like, why would you just use the time zone we're in? And then you were like, Edmonton Sports Talk. Yeah. I was like, okay, so 9.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I made it.
You did.
Yes.
But
Here you
it
are.
was a little confusing. Like, I think you guys need to establish it a little longer. I know you're all established people, but it's a new entity before you start just throwing out the acronym as if everybody knows what it is.
I guess we should send back those hats. Whoops.
See, like, these are good. This is the whole thing.
Just Edmonton Sports Talk. All of our logos say Edmonton Sports Talk.
Yeah, this is good.
I think be on the air for a month. Like, everyone should know who we are.
After a week.
I've started dropping, like at the Elks game, I started dropping, do you not know who we are? Like,
oh my God.
You did.
I just started throwing that out there.
I'm
and I always got no. Please leave the room, sir.
Sir, this
it
is
never
a Wendy's.
goes well. Yeah. Yeah, it never goes well. Do you ever get recognized? Like, a lot?
It happens at the weirdest times.
Does it?
When I think I would get recognized, I don't. But I'll be walking the dog outside of in Terwilliger. I remember a guy just came out of the pizza shop and goes, Joaquin. And I was like, at first I'm a little worried. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, oh, geez, do I owe this guy money? And then he starts, and then he starts getting in and we talk a little bit. And so I like you on there, whatever. So I guess I'm kind of like the David Spade of kind of broadcasting. Like, they know who I am. I'm good in small doses, and it works.
And you're gonna get a sitcom every 5 to 7 years that
Yeah.
flames out after like half a season.
Yeah,
But you
That's
cash
awesome.
in for that moment.
Absolutely.
hope so.
Yeah.
Hope so.
I like that David Spade reference. Very good. Speaking of which, so I'll have to walk the dog today. I've been asked by my dad and brother to make sure that she goes for a poop.
Gosh.
Specifically, they identified poop.
Yeah, both
Well,
of
that's
them.
part of the purpose of walking the
2
dog.
texts. Yeah.
I hate bad dog people. I've had too many. Like, I take my dog to the Terwilliger Dog Park.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a good story. I was there the other day, and my dog, sweetest dog in the world, like goes up to people, goes up to other dogs, loves everything. I see 2 people in the distance. They got like 5 dogs between the 2 of them, and they got 2 on leashes, and they pulled them off to the side. So I'm like, okay, that's probably those dogs aren't really good to get to. And I call my guy, say, hey, okay, stay real close. We're walking by, and they're staying there. They have 3 other dogs off the leash. As we get closer, these 3 other dogs race and attack my dog.
No.
So I got the leash and I hit one of them, get out, and I'm just losing my mind because I don't know why people with bad dogs go to a dog park.
Do you think they understand that their dogs
They
are
don't think
crap?
their dog's bad.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Well, if you're going to the dog park and you have a misbehaved dog that doesn't act well around other dogs, don't bring them to the dog park because
But they don't think they misbehave. I guarantee in their mind,
No, I
they
believe
think
that.
that's a one-off incident or
No,
whatever.
because I ran into the other guy before, and he's got the dog on the leash. This the first guy, and he said, "Oh, he's not good around other dogs." And I'm like,
Oh, okay.
Why is he not
There's
on
no
his
defense
leash?
on that
well,
one
he
now.
was on his leash.
Oh, okay.
But when you're on the leash, at that place. Dogs are going to come up to you all the time.
Yeah.
Like they want to say, "Hey, what's going on? Let me sniff your butt." And things like that.
That's like, I don't want spoilers because I'm going to watch a game, but I'm going to go on Twitter where I'm going to get the game spoiled on me, and I'm going to get upset. Why did this game get spoiled?
You're asking for it.
Anyways, I lost it. Like I went full Hulk. Was yelling at this person, and there was a lot of F-bombs and get out of here, and
Wow.
and so I really lost. But then I was kind of coming down, and there was an F-bomb, and then one of the guys started walking away, and then he threw an F-bomb back at me, and that fired me right back up again. I started walking towards him, but then I looked down, and I was wearing like an Oilers tracksuit. And Oilers alumni
No.
and stuff. I'm like, oh my God, this is the wrong stuff to be wearing right now. But
Yeah.
haven't seen him since. Just if you're going to bring your dog to the dog park, if you don't want other dogs coming up to your dog, don't bring them to the dog park.
It's not my story to fully tell. Struddy had an incident last summer, I think, or at the dog park. It was one of the funniest stories. But F-bombs flying all over the place. He was,
Strudge was dishing them out.
to like anyone that was walking up to him, he was just like, they weren't even the issue. And he
Wow.
was F-bombing this person, F-bombing that person.
Wow.
Because like his dog got attacked. And he was upset and he didn't know whose dog it was. So yeah, he was just F-bombing people. It was an amazing story.
Wow, that
though.
takes a lot to get like
Struddy- yeah.
Struddy
Yeah.
to go off the cuff like that. But like I had my parents' dog that we got her for Christmas, my brothers and I, Penny. I took her to the dog park by Rogers Place, and there were like 2 like Dobermans
Oh, yeah.
that were like ready for her, and she freaked out. I'm like, okay, let's go to the one on 105th Street. So I took her there. She loves it there. I love the dog owner culture.
Oh,
I really find it. I haven't had that experience with taking Penny out, but I found a lot of the people to be really friendly, and you meet weird people, you meet nice people, normal people. It's crazy the dog culture. And then really quickly, I can't believe I feel shame for that. I'm gonna tell the story. So I take Penny, and it's a nice summer day, and this like really attractive blonde girl, short shorts with her corgi, is walking, and I get through the first gate, take Penny off her leash, and she's ready to go through to the park and play with the other dogs. And this girl walks by, and she looks at Penny, and she's like, cute. And I smiled at her, and I didn't say anything because I was so dumbfounded, and I should have been like, me or the dog?
Yeah, I've tried that
Idiot.
once.
You didn't.
I did not.
You
I
like
was
froze in the moment?
I was frozen in the moment because I was like, yeah, Penny's cute. She's the most adorable dog ever, as we're prone to say about our dogs. And then B, I was just like,
I'm stunned by that.
You got to come down to Terwilliger. That's the one
That's
that
far.
Well, somebody
That's
in the
the big
nasty
one, right?
chat says Terwilliger is where all the misbehaving dogs go. That's why I don't go there. Stephen Day in the nasty chat.
That's the delinquent dog park.
No,
Do you have a dog?
What's up with that?
You got to go.
Sort of.
You got to
Okay.
go in the mornings if you can. Don't go on the weekends or after 6 because that's when. That's when
It's a rather large park, isn't it?
So-
Massive.
Wouldn't it be easy to avoid other dogs if you wanted to, even in a
Well,
dog
you
park?
You can let them off the leash, right? So they're rolling. And,
Oh, so they're-
So basically, if you work a normal job, Terwilliger's not the place to take your dog because you never could take your dog there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, don't do it.
What sort of? You have a dog?
Well, he lives with my mom and dad.
Okay. So like
I-
Tommy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess
Do you
a similar
take,
situation.
Do you take them for like?
I don't take him as much anymore because
Yeah.
he's 17 and a half.
Oh, okay.
So
Is that Rocket?
It is Rocket.
That's Rocket,
Yeah,
yeah.
Rocket's a 17 and a half year old
Wow.
apricot poodle. He's pretty much fully blind,
Oh,
but he's in pretty good shape. Like if you saw him walking around, you wouldn't think he's 17. Like he's quite mobile. He doesn't have the energy that he used to, and he actually has had a pretty good summer for. And my dad said he's quite energetic in the morning, like he's pulling on the leash, and my dad's got to hustle to keep up with him. Then he sleeps the other 23 hours of the day. So, but I guess most dogs sleep 20 to 22, so he's just extended it by. But we've always had a dog in the family. Like
Yeah.
there's ever our first dog was I was probably 3 or 4. We got a dog named Chico. And then ever since then, we've always had at least one dog. I guess I always say they're mine, even though they haven't always lived with me specifically. But
They're still yours.
been-
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a family
Yeah.
dog, right?
Exactly.
Like that's a fair way to describe
and
it.
we love them. Like even though like dogs can be pretty disgusting, as lovable as they are. We had a dog named Critter. I named most of the dogs, so his name was Critter, and we got him as a house dog. And he grew bigger than we thought, and he loved being outside. And this was when we lived north of Evansburg, so rural area. We didn't have a farm, but we were in the country. And we had a fairly large yard. So it reached the point where he would only come in at night to sleep in the laundry room, kind of, our porch room. And then eventually he just lived outside full time. But he would, so it was Christmas Eve. He was still sleeping in the house. So we kind of had like our door, coat, boot area, stairs to the basement. There was like a small bathroom, washer and dryer. That was like our back door. So it was like a small room. So we would there was a couple doors that we'd shut it and he'd sleep in there for the night. So for some reason I was up late with my mom or whatever. We were like waiting for Santa to come down the chimney, which he never did. And we were like, okay, well, let's see what Critter's doing. It was probably 1 a.m. So Critter had vomited and was lying, I believe, on his left side. I'm trying to remember as much deals, like on his left
This is
side,
very
not
detailed.
curled up. And he had vomited up his kibble, the brown kibble. So it was a combination of that and just brown liquid. And it was sort of in like a halo around his head. And he was like totally lying in it, like half asleep, but like lapping it up, sort of as he was dozing off. And it was just like, it's one of those moments where you wish you could like talk to your dog like you would to your drunk buddy or something like that, even though the dog is not drunk. Just be like, dude, that is your own vomit.
What are you
Like,
doing?
what are you doing? Like, what? At least move. Like, we know you can't clean it up because
Yeah.
you're a dog.
Yeah.
But you want us maybe not sleep in it
And eat it up?
then not lick it up? Like, I wonder what the dog would say. Like, the dog would just be like, no, this is great.
I'm just trying to help you
comfortable.
out. I'm trying to clean
Like,
it
the
up.
dog was like,
Maybe.
the dog was like, I remember waking up and feeling a little sick, and then there was a meal there. Like, this is perfect.
R.I.P. Critter, I guess.
What do you mean, I guess?
Well, yes.
R.I.P.
They burrow
still.
into our hearts, those little
No,
buggers.
absolutely. It's crazy how the dog cult, like, nowadays,
It's a thing.
it's like there's the love that people have for their pets seems more than it was in the past, or maybe more socially acceptable of how much.
Well, social
I
media
think maybe
has
the-
changed
Yeah.
everything, right? Because
Yeah.
everybody's
Fur
posting
baby,
their dog.
Yeah.
Here's my
National Dog
Yeah.
Day. Like I like that stuff, but it's a bit obnoxious. Now we're to the point where professional sports teams are taking photos and putting
Well,
out
that's what-
calendars
yeah.
Yeah,
with
the
their
Oilers
dogs.
did
I
the
think the
calendar,
Oilers
yeah.
were one. You didn't do that in the Shoppers Drug Mart Oilers calendar, did you? It
No, I didn't. It was a different picture, but
was an action shot.
yeah, no. Didn't they have a dressing room dog last year? The Oilers didn't they?
Oh,
have
they
It's a-
is it Flex?
Yeah,
not- actually?
They copied everything.
He's not
that
a
everyone else
dressing
in the
room
league was
dog
doing.
though. He's the
Office
office dog.
I have
Oh, is
not
it?
seen
Is
Is it
this dog.
Flex? That's not his name.
I
is
don't
it?
know.
I thought there was a dog named Flex.
Yeah.
But they had the dogs in the skills competition.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was
Yes, I
Enjoyable.
actually left just before that happened. But
In disgust? Or you want to beat the
I wasn't
traffic?
This is
disgusted.
only
I
for
just-
humans,
I just
this skills
felt-
competition.
How dare they put them on the
I
ice?
think I'd done my show. I think I did my show from the skills competition. My show ended at 8.
Yeah.
And the only thing left was the dog thing. And I was like, I'm going to actually beat the traffic. Because
Scoot
usually
out
I'm
of
not
there.
leaving when there's traffic. But I was like, I don't know if I need to report on
Report
who
on
won
it.
the dog
Yeah.
competition. But wasn't it a
Connor's dog
relay? I think Connor's dog won.
Yeah,
Was
of
it the
course.
dog had to catch something and then the human had to... I don't know how they did it.
No
But
clue.
Derek Ryan's dog was out there, I think.
Tell you what, I don't pay attention to the skills competition anymore because I don't have to work it, thankfully.
Yeah, you used to host it, didn't
I
you?
used
Was
to
it you
host
and
it.
Gene one year?
Yeah, it was
Were you
fun.
on skates back
Speaking
then?
of
too?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was. That was fun. I actually really
That'd be fun.
enjoyed that. Now I'm like, I'm not getting paid to do it. Don't need to worry about it.
Yeah. There was no
That's a
skills when you
terrible
were
thing
playing.
to
Were there?
say.
There was no skills competitions like for the
They
public.
had them.
Yeah, I think so.
Did you?
Yeah, I usually got sent to the minors just before that. So, but no, I never took actual part in the skills competition. Yeah, I was always sent to them. I was always sent to the minors before the All-Star game, and if we were ever playing against Wayne Gretzky, always sent.
Did you never
You
play
didn't-
against
Never
Wayne
played
Gretzky?
against Wayne
Come
Gretzky.
on.
How many
that's
seasons
sad.
would have did you have a chance?
Well,
Both.
it was 2.
Yeah.
But I think it overlapped, like when he was with the Kings, and then St. Louis, and then the Rangers. All time, I just never got to see the great
You
one.
played in 3 seasons.
Parts of 3.
Yeah.
But it's weird because my first stint was like 95, 96, I think it was, and then again in 2001. So it was. I have another one of the worst records ever. The longest time between wins for an Oilers goalie is me, but I was with different organizations. It wasn't just. It's like 5 years or whatever that is.
Who did you sign with between?
I was with Washington's and their farm club, then Vancouver's, and then who else? I was with Providence for a bit,
Yeah.
Boston's, and then I joined Team Canada, and that was kind of funny. Did I ever tell you this story? This is kind of funny.
I don't think so.
So I really was in limbo, and I got a call from Tom Rennie because he knew me from as a kid when I tried out for Kamloops, and he asked me if I wanted to join Team Canada. So you're with Team Canada the whole year, and I remember our year-end meetings. I said, "Is there any interest from any other NHL teams?" And he said, "Not really, Joaquin." And I had signed with Mannheim in Germany for the next year. And I asked about World Championships. He goes, "You'd be my third guy. I got to take 2 NHL guys." I go, "Okay, well," but the Hamilton Bulldogs are interested in having you come for their playoff run. They need a goalie or something. And I didn't want to go back to the Oilers because the first time I left I was all poopy pants. And so I was like, you know what, whatever, I'll just go. And I'd been in Hamilton before, right? So, and I knew some guys on the team, and I go to Hamilton, and I end up playing. We went 2 rounds, I think, and at the end, everyone's garbage bag day in the minors. Everyone's got their meetings, but I'm a mercenary. I'm a free agent. It doesn't really. And Scott Housen was the GM, and he was my GM when my first year pro in Cape Breton. So one of the trainers goes, "Joaquin, Scott wants to talk to you." I'm like, it's weird, I'm not under contract. It's all these guys, they're coming out of the meetings. "Oh man, I don't know what's going to happen." I didn't care, so I just walked in, and because I knew Scott, and I was just like, "Hey," we talked a bit, and I said, "Hey Scott, this is really cool. Thanks for having me." And he was like, "Yeah, Joaquin, you played great. Thanks for everything." And it's much better to leave on terms like this. It was a pretty good run that we just had and stuff. And then as it's kind of winding up, he goes, "Yeah, well, we're going to give your agent a call, maybe work something out." I thought he was full of shit. So I'm like, "Yeah, good one, Scott. Good one. Yeah, nice job, got you."
See ya.
And he's like, "No, Joaquin, seriously." I go, "Yeah, okay, Scott." And I'm like, so I had to go back to Calgary, hung out there for a bit because with Team Canada. And then I went home, and when I got home, there was my agent called and said, "Yeah, the Oilers have an offer for you," and actually the Capitals did too.
Wow.
So I got into it was the first time I've ever been in a bidding war. I mean, it wasn't huge or anything like that, but I chose to come back to Edmonton just because of the goalie situation, which
Mikhail Stalenkov and Bob Essenza at the time. Am I right?
No, it was it didn't. Tommy Salo was the only guy here.
Right, because
Yeah.
they traded. They had Stalinkov and Essens all walked away.
Walked away, right?
Yeah.
So they just had Tommy, and I think in Washington they
would have had Kolzig.
They had Kolzig, and they had their minor league was stacked too. Edmonton didn't really have anyone. Passmore had left. They had Eric Heffler and I think Mike Menard, and so
Mike Menard.
I just felt like the chances of me making the big club were a lot better in Edmonton than they would have been in Washington. So, and how do you say no to another shot at the NHL, right? Hindsight,
And it worked.
It worked. I mean, I probably
Hindsight
wouldn't
what?
be here. Well, I don't know if it would have worked better for me to continue my NHL career in Washington. You never know, right? But so many other things blossomed out of that season. I met you guys. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. Right? So,
I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, it's touching.
you're welcome.
Can I read this text that came in via our inbox, 780-218-9999? It says, if Gager is David Spade, does that mean Dusty is Sandler and Tommy G is Rob Schneider?
You don't want to be Rob.
I don't want
I
to
was
be
doing
Rob
Schneider on Chelsea show the other day.
Were you?
Yeah.
The guy,
What?
Tommy, the toaster, Tom Rama, making some copies. Tom Tom,
And then you ended with, you
Tommy
can do it.
Twinkle.
That's really well done.
That is
really good.
Well, that's a pretty easy one to
Surprisingly good.
He
imitate.
canceled his shows in Canada there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's so
Yeah.
put off by the
Schneider
government.
did?
Let's not get
Yeah.
into that.
Because we're a bunch of Nazi sympathizers.
Oh,
Like,
my
Oh, I didn't,
Yeah.
that
I
was
didn't know
bad
he
luck.
was still active.
We'll
Yeah,
leave it at that.
we'll leave that there.
Brent saying Gager is so honest and humble. His stories are so cool. And also, just back to the dog thing quickly. Justin saying it's true. If you go down by the river, you'll spot all those bad boy dogs sneaking smokes behind their owners' backs. So,
That's a good
the
one.
Willigers where the bad dogs hang out, so, and they're doing some crazy things. Oilers season coming up. They get their big win yesterday at home. Calm in Oilers Nation now. They don't have to panic. They were able to win a preseason game. But any takeaways from this game for you
Well,
guys?
I'm glad you brought up the Oilers because I didn't think I was going to have a chance to talk about them today.
No?
Yeah, really,
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
I wanted to talk about.
We
my
can talk
golf
about. We
game.
have
I
2
can't-
hours.
So it's fine.
Where would you like to go?
I just like giving you a hard time because I've never
No one
actually
gives
met
me a
you
hard
in
time.
person before.
No, you're the first one to give me a hard
What?
time.
Yeah.
You guys have never met
No,
in
we
person?
have
we
briefly.
haven't.
This is the most we've ever talked, to be honest with
Go
you.
on. EST
Yes.
Hangout brings people together, literally.
It really
It's,
does. We've met
we've met
briefly
once.
before. We met
Once.
briefly before.
You guys are
come and
both
see
at
Troy
the rink for games.
I
Yeah,
do
but
come
I
see Troy.
generally ignore people.
He's on the
You
air.
are
As
very
As you
rude
know,
at the
as you know,
press
I
level,
generally
yes.
don't mingle.
The engineer for Ched, though, Troy Bowler.
Yeah, I know Troy.
I,
We
like
used to work
he's usually
with
on
him.
there, but I go and I go talk with Troy sometimes.
Yes, so we've never really had a long conversation.
My mind is blown. Continue. Anyway, I just
What did
need
you
to
ask me?
Process this.
Oh, we could go anywhere. We don't have to
Oh,
go
the
into
game.
that.
Well,
we could talk
they
about
won
this, but we
last
could say
night.
that, or
I
we
saw
could go
that. I
or
saw.
something
No, we can
else.
talk. They won last night.
They did.
It was a very moribund game.
Yeah.
I thought
Jesus. We're really going into the thesaurus.
the preseason is.
It's great, isn't it?
How do the boys look, Reid? How do the boys look?
They look fine. It's great.
Somebody asked me the other day, how do the boys look? And I'm like, well, their D-to-D regroups and system work is top notch. That's literally
It's-
all we've seen.
I guess I've become a bit of a jaded old media guy.
yeah, that's true.
Nice.
Me
Like,
too.
don't
Because preseason?
there's yes,
No, see, and I don't think you're a jaded old media person there. I think that's just understanding sports.
especially with this team. There's very little drama for spots.
Well, that's
Yeah.
the thing.
There's no how are Hall and Eberle going to look together? How's McDavid going to look in his second or third year now that he's 20? You know, like
Yeah.
there's
it's true.
There's none of that. Yes, of course it's big for some guys, and we talk about the individual storylines, but like I feel like when I started, I've been doing this job 10 years. So my first 3 years were the last 3 years of the decade of darkness. And I feel like the preseasons then, so it was pre-McDavid, obviously.
Yep.
Do we have an acronym? Is it just PM? Is that what we call it?
Well, I
PM
mean,
and
we're
AM.
using EST
Pre-McDavid
and you
and
don't
after
approve of that,
McDavid.
so
PM and
you can
AM.
do whatever you
that
want.
would further confuse people about time.
Absolutely.
Tom.
EST
It
PM.
was 2
Continue.
years. It was 2 years PM pre-McDavid.
I like how
But I
PM
feel
comes
like-
before AM too.
Yeah,
Just
true.
to make it even
Just
more
to make
weird.
it even worse. But I feel like those preseasons were it was more tense around the games. Like,
Yeah.
God, can we even just win preseason games? Like with what if they just went 6-2 in the preseason? Oh, that would be so much more hope.
They would go 6-2 in those
And sometimes
preseasons.
I think they might have. But
Yeah.
I just
But it comes down to the roster battles, as you just said. Like,
Right, that's the story.
In those years, you didn't even know who was going to be the second line center.
Yeah,
of the team
And they
sometimes.
usually wouldn't be good enough. They were usually picking an AHL player to play on their third line.
Is Ryan Jones a top 6 this year? And you're like, oh,
Well,
my
by default,
goodness.
sure, yeah.
Like,
great guy.
And with
but-
this team, you're looking at, okay, who's going to be the 12th, 13th forward of the team?
Mm-hmm.
What's happening with Broberg and Desharnais defensively? And that's it. Really,
Yeah.
right?
Having said that, let's go and really deep dive on Lane Peterson's D-zone draws right now.
Right.
Right
Well, I'm
now.
going to pull that up
I'm
on
glad you
video
did that,
right away.
'cause I-
and
Thank you.
break it
Yeah,
down.
we
Oh,
need to.
can we throw to video?
Well,
Yes.
eventually, like we could. Am I capable of doing it? That's another question. So,
Marty's figuring it out.
yeah.
The 1 year.
It's, man, another time you come in, I'll have it ready to
Yeah,
go.
I like
no
this.
worries.
We'll
setup.
do
have
like
to wait for
whatever.
them to
You just
bicker.
tell me what videos you want, and I'll have it ready to go.
I was
prior to them.
actually very worried that there were going to be close-ups.
We have the
I could
capability.
close up if you want right
I
now.
don't want you to.
I'll close up on Tommy and Gage.
Yeah,
if you
because
want.
Tom's way better looking.
We'll see
Oh,
how
get
close.
out of
Because
here.
when I was
How
trying to
close
have a
up-
career in TV, it's amazing how many polite ways
that's-
news
I don't want
directors
that one.
found to tell me that I'm ugly.
See, look at that. We could zoom in that close.
We just don't have the look that I don't know if you have the right look.
I never heard
Have you
that.
considered not wearing your glasses? Have you considered wearing your like?
See, look,
Okay,
we
I
just
get
have
it.
Gager and Tommy.
Nice.
Well, that's nice.
That's
See?
very
I feel like I'm too
That's nice. And my
need
knees.
to be a little more
Yeah,
formal.
it looks like your mom would tell you to sit up straight.
Tommy, sit up. I think she's coming back from Europe finally.
What do you mean she thinks? Like, did she go with like an open-ended ticket?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah,
was
then
she
my dad met her
backpacking?
in Italy.
Is your mom backpacking through Europe?
No, she doesn't backpack.
Okay.
She's
That'd be funny though.
How long has she been gone?
3 months.
Holy smokes.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Really?
Where's
Yeah.
your dad?
Did she retire?
She retired
From-
and then just went on.
from
She's
the
like,
school?
she went and took my grandma back to Poland. And then my dad's like, I'll meet you in Italy in September.
Oh wow.
He did that. He came back last week. And I'm like, where's mom?
Oh, so he's gone and
Where's
come back.
Yeah, he came back. He did 2 weeks in
But
Italy.
did you think she was coming back with him?
Well, that was a potential plan.
Oh.
And he's like, well, she went back to Poland for like a week or two to see if your grandma wants to come back. I was like, oh, I miss her. But she like
Well, it's been 3
FaceTime
months.
calls me, and so it's all good. She called. Remember we did Hello Hockey last week. She called.
She called.
Yeah, with my grandma.
You were
It was
answering.
nice.
Are you trying to?
I was like,
me,
here's
which is
Joaquin.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just-
Hello, Joaquin.
Well, yeah.
How are you?
Where'd you play in Europe again?
Where did
Because
I
it was
Oh.
you played
You played in Italy.
play?
Italy.
I played in Italy.
Yeah.
Is it time to tell the story again? It's been you've told it twice on my show.
Which story?
The subway story
Oh,
I
the
wanna hear
fight.
this.
No, I've told that already. The one that
on this station.
On
Yeah,
EST.
On EST?
Not here, but yeah, no.
Okay.
Oh, so it's only good enough for
Oh
Reid.
boy. Oh.
Inside
Oh, you wanna hear
Sports
it?
630.
Yes.
But the
What
EST
happened?
Hangout, it's not good enough. For
I-
no, I get
just
it.
don't
I
wanna
get it, Gage.
bore
tend to bring out the
everybody
best.
with
Cool.
this.
Wow, Joaquin.
We understand.
Well,
Also, someone saying BC before Connor.
oh, that's good.
Oh, we could. Oh,
Because
that's.
then it-
Oh, thank you.
Somebody just text that one in.
Tell them thank you. Can you,
Because
can you
they
email them back?
refer-
We can reply. We can
We
also
can.
send photos.
The number
we should send a picture
604.
of you
We're
saying
604.
thank
That's
you.
like Vancouver.
That's BC.
Reid says thank you.
Send a picture of Reid immediately to this texter.
I'll just say Reid says thank you.
That would.
That's
that
what
would,
they say in the Bible too, though, right? It's not BC.
BC 80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the story now.
Let's hear about Italy.
Because our listeners would
this
like to
was-
hear it too.
This,
Yeah, and
this
viewers.
was this was Sweden. So
Oh.
we're playing Leksand in Djurgården, where that's our derby game, and there's not.
You just said a bunch of stuff I don't understand.
It's two names of two teams.
Okay. And then the other thing.
So
A derby game.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just
Derby.
I'm
Derby.
I'm being a
whatever.
bit facetious.
And so it was a very chippy game. Actually, I think my fight's still on YouTube, but I got in a fight against a player, and because I was losing my
Goalie
mind.
versus player.
I love
like
those.
And so then I afterwards everyone's like, oh, you're suspended. It was 3 games before playoffs. You're not gonna play again. You might as well go home. I'm like, oh my god, what's going on? So
did I do?
I hardly slept that night. I roll into practice the next day, and I didn't have a car in Stockholm, so I just took the tunnelbana or whatever. And so I get onto the train, and I got my head down, and it's rush hour, so the train's packed, and everyone's got those like Metro magazines, right? So I'm going, oh, I'm worried if I'm gonna get suspended, or am I gonna play again? What's going on? And I look up, and everyone's got these newspapers, these free newspapers, and in Swedish it says "Crazy Canadian Goalie," and it's a picture of me like looking really menacing, throwing a punch on this kid.
No way.
And I'm like, oh my God. So I bury my head in my hands. And I'm like, "Ah." And then I look up and there's a little Swedish lady sitting across from me, like in a train.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And she's got the paper and our eyes meet and I look at her. She looks down at the paper, looks at me, looks down at the paper, stood up and walked away. So I got 3 games. It worked out all right. I was back for playoffs. It all worked. But,
How
Was
many
this
did you
not a
land?
fairly young player you battered?
it didn't seem like it, but I guess he was 19 at the time. I don't know. I was in my late 20s or whatever. So they said, oh, he shouldn't have picked on the little guy. But when you watch the video, you see what he did. And I was getting hit all game. Like Swedes, they love to run the goalie because there's no repercussions. So I had enough at that point and kind of
You showed the repercussions.
Yeah. So, and then I think I still got. He was leaking. Like I cut him for a
Oh,
couple.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it was really bad because his interview after was like he was talking and bleeding and stuff. So, but I did win player Jan Kaminer of the year that year.
Nice.
Yeah, I was the team's MVP. But
Crazy Canadian.
it was funny because when I got announced as our announcer, because I was taking Swedish classes. I got built into my contract. I went to Swedish school for once a week, and
You got it built in, so you wanted it. It wasn't the other way around. They forced you.
I wanted it.
Oh, that's pretty
so
cool. That's cool.
It was great because those guys. It was, and I said this before Bjorn Nord and when I was talking about a captain. I think on
Yeah.
So
remember that.
I would have to get up and read fan mail from little kids and in Swedish, and then say what it meant in English, and everyone would clap and stuff. It was a team bonding thing. So it was fun.
I was just quickly trying to look up the fight.
Yeah.
I will just say on YouTube, as I was typing in Joaquin Gage, the first pop-up was Joaquin Gage Sunshine Boy.
Really?
There's nothing that shows up in it, but that was the first suggestion from YouTube when I was looking. I still
When were
can't
you
find
the
the
Sunshine
fight,
Boy?
but
Here.
I don't remember that.
He
Yeah.
told us all about
Yeah.
it. It was
Wow,
glorious.
I'm sorry, I don't know that
Yeah,
story.
it's,
You can tell me.
we got.
he's got a bunch of photos. He could give you one. He's kept
Yeah, I
a whole
wouldn't mind
bunch of
hanging one
copies.
up at my desk. I have the only
It's
photo.
inspiring.
The only photo I have is me in a scrum with Chuba Hubbard that somebody printed off.
that's
It's like
sweet.
this really awful looking. Like somebody just printed it as a joke and hung it on my desk, and I like weird stuff like that, so I've left it. So I would love a Sunshine Boy photo of you.
Mike.
Sign would be amazing.
That's like
too.
the third time anyone's ever said that to him.
Yeah. No.
And it's been like 23 years since you were the Sunshine Boy, somewhere around
Yeah.
there.
Yes.
Yeah, he ended it because they couldn't top it. Basically,
Right.
right.
They reached the peak.
Like
retired it.
How do you surpass Gager in Edmonton?
Well, how do you surpass
You
like
can't.
an Oiler being Sunshine Boy too?
Right.
Well,
Like,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet. You know.
It was at Heritage Days. He
Heritage
had a
Days.
few libations. He was with the rest of the guys from the team, and the photog said, "Hey, any of you want to be a Sunshine Boy?" And Gage was like, "Boom."
Yeah.
Is that the Cole Notes?
Basically,
Cole's Notes
yeah.
version? Yeah, nailed it.
Of course I was.
Did you get in trouble?
No, I didn't. Oilers gassed me, so that was. I was off to Europe,
Oh,
so
okay.
it didn't matter at that point. But when I did go back to visit the guys when I came back after the season, it was up in the cupboard on the inside of the door where the sound system was. So they.
As it
nice.
should be.
Yeah.
Inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
It's gotta be something.
I remember laughing or whatever. And I have a pretty distinct laugh. And Mac T came around the corner and he was, "Oh, I knew it was you. I missed that laugh." Well, you could have had it for another year, you prick.
I love him. I saw him on Friday. It was
he's
so
great,
good to
man.
see
I
him.
love
Yeah.
Mac T. He's the best.
He's
We
awesome.
do that Mac T Invitational. Oh, we got to do next summer. We got to you got to get out there and do some live stuff because
That'd be awesome.
It's so much fun to coach little 9-year-olds, and
Didn't
it's
Keith
great.
Gretzky get thrown out of a game in that tournament?
So did Schmid.
Laddie did, of
But
course
he
he
didn't
did.
leave. Schmid, Laddie was working the D on my team, and he was. I mean, you get into it and stuff, and I'm with Sean McTavish.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we're
I
kinda-
also saw him the other day.
we're laughing and stuff, and it's a lot of fun. But Schmieder, the ref, actually came over and kicked him out, and Schmieder said, "No, I'm not leaving." The refs are younger and they're trying to be professional.
Yeah.
So I yell at the refs, but I kind of with a wink and a nod,
Right.
right? I'm just messing around, and they go, I'm not serious. Okay, just don't worry about it. But it's a ton of fun. God, the parents I love when the parents are talking back to you about what they should do on the power play for 9-year-olds. That's
This is a thing apparently. Like these 9-year-olds, they toe drag. They're so skilled now, obviously, but like systems work at 9.
Yeah.
Power play 1. I was talking to a friend about his son on Team Brick, and he's like, "Yeah, the first power play unit wasn't great. We could have done this and that." And I was like, "Power play units at 9 years of age. We're talking about
but if they're on
systems
Team Brick,
they're elite,
they're very
obviously.
good, and not just they have the skill, they probably can think it and understand what's happening.
Yeah, I was just glad to raise the puck at 9.
Yeah.
Well,
Top Ched.
I know.
Flick.
You're like, okay, left wing, so I'm on this side of the ice.
Up and
There, I
down.
know my system.
Yeah, these kids are flying. They're like, our F3 needs to be stronger.
Yeah.
I'm like, pardon me, you're 8.5, and you're saying that?
Yeah.
Is that good though for kids?
I don't know. Like I don't have kids, so I'm removed from what it's like to have kids in minor hockey. Like I'm not going to know that experience, but I have my friends or colleagues or acquaintances who are parents. I mean, I've gotten all over the map. Like it's insane. Like they can't do this. It's too much. And then I've also had parents who say, well, I know he or she probably isn't going to make pro or maybe won't even play university, but I don't want to tell them that when they're 11. Like I got to have them believe. So I think if the kid can actually process it and wants to learn it and gets that out of the sport, then I don't know, why not explain to a 9-year-old how the power play works as opposed to just like, we have one more guy than they do. You know,
Pass
like,
it around.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to start somewhere, right? I mean, it's got to start somewhere. And I mean, in sports, I mean, in most jobs, you might not peak till you're 50 or 55, if ever, as Tom and I are finding out.
I've settled into just slightly above
But I
average.
mean, if you're an elite athlete, you're pro between 18 and 24. I mean, I guess football's early 20s.
Yeah.
Hockey's often 18 to 20. I mean, look at how young tennis players are.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, you got to understand not just fundamental tennis. You have to understand complex tennis strategies and fitness and all that stuff when you're probably 12, 13, 14, if you're going to play, Grand Slam caliber tennis. So I think those kids on the brick, like they probably, I know they're still relatively young, but they probably understand, okay, the other team is doing it, so I got to do it. I mean, and you know what it's like, Gage. Like the competition is built.
brutal.
Like I even being around athletes as a media person most of my adult life, sometimes I'm still. It's almost still surprising how competitive everything is. Like everything is. What I wonder what that guy I hate on the other team is doing on August 11th. If he's lifting weights, I better lift. Like it's just they're driven by everything, right? And I think that starts when they're kids.
Oh, my daughter's competitive dance, and some of the other moms treat my daughter like crap because
She's only like, what, 16?
she'll be 15.
15, yeah.
Yeah.
I know dance is really it's crazy in there.
I keep
Like you
hearing
think of
this.
sports, but like because JMO's son was in
Yeah.
dance, he went to Boston. It's intense.
Yeah. Well, yeah. One mom excludes my daughter from and has all the other girls over for parties.
Oh, you
except
told me about this.
and excludes my daughter.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a little
Yeah.
bit.
That's a little much.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
Why?
unbelievable.
Like, what's the rationale for her?
To get into the head of my daughter and make like I can't stand her. Like I'm nice, but I mean,
Well, you shouldn't be anymore.
well, it's been
It's a
it's
thing.
been nights of my daughter crying in her room, not being invited to.
Yeah.
She's young, right? She's crying up in her room, and I'm sitting
Because
there
I'm an adult.
because I'm an adult. Yeah,
Like, it's one thing, like,
That's
it's
petty.
kids with kids, like the peers,
Yeah.
that sometimes happens, and you have to go through that through life. Maybe Tommy never did, but everyone else, you
Yeah,
get
yeah.
excluded sometimes.
yeah.
When it's a parent or an adult doing that, like, what are you doing here?
I found this out the other day. She tells when other people have parties that she tells them that if my daughter's there, her daughter's not coming.
Come on.
Wow, that's
Okay,
that's
so
awful.
like
Yeah,
someone
that's
does say
bad.
in the nasty chat, MG in brackets here for T-Biscuit,
Holler.
does say your daughter's better than hers. And guaranteed that. She's jealous that your daughter's better than her
Yeah,
daughter. That's what it comes down
that's what
to.
it
And
comes
she
down
doesn't
to.
want
Yeah.
any
That's so
association.
petty.
She wants to try to break down mentally your daughter or something.
Yeah,
And
I couldn't imagine.
what a loser.
I couldn't imagine doing that to anyone's kid. You know, like it's unbelievable.
Jackie Moon said it best. ELE. Everybody love everybody.
Or she saw the photo from Sweden, and we're like, "Well, we
maybe,
can't.
yeah,
If that's
she-
what that
This guy.
if that's how that family behaves."
Yeah.
But it's a different.
that's sad.
It's a different animal. That stuff. Man.
Okay, I'll just to add to this conversation with getting kids at an early age to compete at such an elite level. The other thing too is like the 12 months of the year hockey schedule. I think drives kids out of it and sucks the love for the game out of it, right? Like, and not playing other sports. You see some of these kids and they're at the rink 6 times a week, and they're 10 years old, and it's like by the time you're 13 or 14 and the hockey starts to matter because you're getting on the radar of junior teams, you're hockeyed out.
That's the thing. It's now the counter argument to that would be, and I'm not saying I agree with it, but just to present the other argument, the other argument would be right. But if you're going to make the NHL, you're the elite of the elite, and that includes dedication, not just skill level.
You can be dedicated for 9 months of the year
I
playing
understand,
hockey.
but that's probably what the junior
Yes.
teams and the NHL scouts would say. And what are the stories about? Remember, Marty Klinkenberg wrote that great article where he interviewed McDavid's parents several years ago. I think he might have been a rookie, and Kelly is the mom, right? Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Kelly's-
Brian and Kelly.
Kelly.
Yeah.
And she said, "Let Connor, like as a 6-year-old, said, I want to have elite status and play in the OHL." Mm-hmm. Well, look who he's now. He's he's the very top. So he knew he wanted to do that. So
I wanted to be Doug Waite, Mark Messier, and Wayne Gretzky all wrapped into one. But guess what? I loved video games.
But that's the thing. Connor at that age already knew he would put the work in.
Well,
Right?
and there's so few Connors out there.
Yeah,
that
true.
you know at that moment this is something special.
so
here,
you're-
we don't-
so you guys
but
are
for
saying,
the average one, like Jeff Krishel, and we've had him on the show. He's been talking about this Lost Crush performance, and we're asking him and stuff. And like, it's the thing people are looking at is that specializing in one sport, is that good for the body even and the development of the body?
right. Remember you
And
said the thing
things,
about-
breaking down, like when you are a multi-sport athlete in the U.S., the star quarterback's the the starting pitcher or center fielder and the, playing basketball and stuff, but you work out the rest of your body and develop the rest of your body that you're ready to go in the pros. But when you're specializing, like there's parts of your body that aren't being developed properly. And that's partly why maybe we're seeing
Hip
some
injury. He said
And
kids having hip
apparently
surgeries
a bunch
now.
of hip injuries.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
With youth these days.
Yeah.
Especially goalies.
Yeah.
From too
Why-
much hockey.
Yeah.
Why? But from all sorts of different things. And
Okay.
I guess we'd have to bring him on and ask him more about that crushing. Because we did
I
it
think-
off the air with him.
we'll have to have him.
But
But
that's
like,
you have Wayne Gretzky who says, in the past, he said, you should be a multi-sport athlete's kids.
Yeah.
Other athletes always say that from the past. Like, no, you should be playing other sports too. And it's weird that we are now just focused. And it's happening in the States too. Like,
Of course.
they're starting to
Yeah, of
now.
course.
Football players, they're trying to get them specialized, only playing football. Some
Yeah.
basketball players, and I just don't know if that's the best for the full development of these athletes.
right. Gauge of the hip thing. Like, I know goalies are always moving around, but why now? And what's happening with the style compared to 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, that young goalies have to have hip surgery?
Well, the one stat I heard, and it might have been Krishel or
Crush is all over it.
Yeah, because the amount of force to go down in the butterfly is like twice your body weight. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, to go down like that. So just imagine how many times did you go to practice and watch Stuart Skinner or Jack Campbell when they go down? So every time they're putting that pressure. So now, like when I was younger, it was obviously a different style, and then you got into more hybrids. But now a lot of goalies are just becoming blockers, so they're just going down into that butterfly or half butterfly all the time, every time and you just imagine that. I mean, everyone's built different, and depending on how your anatomy is and the development, some kids are going to be more prone to hip problems. Like I worked with Eli Wilson, and he has another guy that helps him out named Liam, and I guess Liam was a really good goalie, but he at 18 he couldn't play anymore because his hips, right? And so I for a goalie I like goalie camps because you can do specific drills that help you throughout the year. We didn't have like goalie camps like that when I was a kid, but I think you can do a lot more beneficial work off ice with goalies, so they're not just, stopping, like having someone rip pucks at them all day. But yeah, I wonder if we're missing out on the next big hockey player, Connor McDavid, with the great athlete. Because when my son was playing hockey, there was a kid that came out, and he did everything. Like, he did soccer, baseball, and he came out and said this guy was great last year. And he got on the ice, and I was like, oh, he's okay. I wouldn't say he's great, but like, the second practice, he was way better. The third practice, he was way better. And then the fourth practice, and this is during tryouts, right? So he gets out there, hasn't been on the ice for like the last 6-7 months. He only plays during the season, doesn't do any camps. But by the 8th practice, I go, this guy shouldn't be at this tier. He should be the top tier. Because he doesn't play all the time, he just takes him a while to get back up.
He's shaking off the rust.
Yeah. So this guy, he should, but all those guys that play all the time, they're good. They've been on the ice. Everything feels natural to them. But there's definitely burnout. Kids I've seen that are really good. They just, I don't want to go to the rink when it's nice and all my buddies are riding their bikes and skateboarding and doing stuff. But the parents go, no, you got to do this. You got to do this. So it's...
Like, are there ways to be committed to something without having it the only thing you think about every second of your life? I mean, and that would be hard as a kid, I think. Like, I think it'd be hard as an adult to, like, this is the only thing you're worried about ever. And then you're made to feel bad if you have fun, right, or have a distraction or another interest,
Like, there was the one kid on my team, I remember his name was Dougie. I forget the dad's name, but I guess the dad played Major Junior, and actually Mac T got him a tryout at Oilers camp.
Oh.
It was, but his son's going to be a stud, I think. For 9 years old, the way he can move on the defensive side and pass the puck, he's really, really good. But he was saying after the tournament, we're going to this tournament next, and then I'm like, geez, man, you're playing up all the way up to the next season. I mean, but he wanted to do it, but I just think there's a point when the parents say, you know what, let's take a break. Even with my daughter with dance, because there's camps and stuff right after competition season, and I'm like, take 2 weeks,
I think just mentally even.
Yeah.
You just need to cut with it.
That's a big thing for sure.
There's a reason of off-season in sports. Physically and mentally recharging, I'm assuming. It's both of those, not just the physical part, right?
Did you hear about Desharnais, after the season, what he did?
Grew out his hair.
Oh, that. But his shutdown was, he said it was like a month. He just put his gear in the corner and basically went on a retreat in northern Quebec for like a yoga retreat and didn't talk to anyone, just completely decompressed, and then came back after a month and started watching things and working towards the next year. I mean,
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Did you hear about the colored pucks that he said in that scrum too? Yeah, no, who knows? Maybe it's common, but I'd never heard of that before.
Yeah, just the recognition of having to do something different.
To simulate quick decision making, you had to look. So they'd shoot a colored puck into the corner. If it's red, I can't remember exactly, but if it's red, it means you're about to get hit, or if it's yellow, you got time to skate. But the guy wouldn't tell him ahead of time.
Yeah.
He'd fire it in, and Desharnais would have to. So it would try to simulate the pressure of a forecheck or a goalie yelling, you got time or whatever,
So like 6 different color of pucks, and then each puck meant something different. So he would then have to know everything, first of all, and then recognize what to do with each puck. So
I like that.
That's like when I played Madden, they would send the color with the ball, and I had to go and figure out where to run for it because of the color.
That.
Yeah.
Like, I basically did what Desharnais did.
Yes.
You basically
And that's why I was good at Madden.
Yes.
You basically are.
I did those mini camps, and I did that precision passing or whatever it was.
Yes, that does
Is Madden
translate.
still big?
I want to say
It
yes.
must be. I haven't played it in a long time.
I want to say yes. It, for a while, was the best sports game there was. I don't think it lays claim to that anymore. I'm not much of a gamer nowadays, so I'm not fully in tune. Like, it's still, I think, a pretty big deal. People play it.
People are like
competitions.
pros. Like,
But I don't think, like, in the 2000s, that game was massive.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It was huge.
I had 05.
They started calling it, like, Madden Holidays or something when it was released.
People would take the day off.
I would rush to Best Buy to buy it every year. I still have a mug that came with Best Buy one year. It's Madden 06 and it's Best Buy in the back. I still have that one.
Nice.
But it was. I don't think
I'd say
there anymore.
Yeah, like I'd say
Text us,
late
780-218-9999,
90s. Yeah, I'd like to know.
and
Yeah.
if it's
Now
still
again,
big.
I'm older now, but it's
Yeah.
not as if I'm not around. And plus,
Yeah.
I think people of all ages play video games because
Yes.
I had an Intellivision when I was 8 or 9, so
nice.
it's part of your entertainment. But yeah, do you know what that is? Intellivision. It was fun. It wasn't that good actually. It kind of sucked.
I'm a big Tecmo fan.
But like
and the SNES.
oh, nice. But yeah,
Champ.
I'd say like starting late 90s, Madden took off, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah, it
Till-
was,
I don't know.
That's when sports games really took off
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
got way better.
well, 02 Madden. Oh, no, 03.
2K was really good too.
That
Yeah.
series,
2K, I had
some people
I
like
went
that
back
and
series
forth.
better.
Yeah, NFL 2K.
So the NHL early 2000s on PC was fantastic.
I had that.
Crushed
really?
those ones. Madden was great in that era. Like 03 was Marshall Falk. All the way to like 04,
Ray
05,
Lewis was
06 for the
05.
big. He was 05.
I had
Michael
that
Vick
one.
was
Vick
04.
was on there.
McNabb was 06. That was like one of their peak
But
stretch
McNabb's
runs.
the one that had the passing cone that people hated.
QB Vision.
Yeah, the QB Vision.
Which is
Sorry.
funny because we had Trey Ford on Monday, and he says he loves that.
Oh, really?
Because too many people would just be like facing the end zone the wrong way, and they'd press a button and throw a perfect
Right, it's
pass.
like
He's
your
like, that is so
body- yeah,
stupid.
yeah, yeah.
Arms
Like
across your
you should
body.
have to
Yeah.
look to where it is. I hated QB Vision. Baseball, the best baseball
Oh,
game there ever
I
was
know.
MVP baseball.
I had
Okay,
that one.
I'm going to
You can
strongly
play
disagree with
trappers.
that.
You can play trappers in it
Oh,
too.
that's cool. I'm going to strongly disagree
Really?
with that because I went through a phase. This is going to sound bad for a Canadian sportscaster. Like I hardly pay attention to Major League Baseball. It's soured
Why's
on
that
me
bad
at
for a
some
Canadian
point.
sports broadcaster?
Well, you should be.
cares?
Well, I follow the Jays
It's
enough.
okay to like what you
Enough.
like, Riedrich.
But like 90s and probably till about 2010, I was quite into baseball, and as a result, was into baseball simulations.
Yeah, you have an
Okay.
Expos tattoo on your left butt cheek, right? I'm joking. I kid. I kid. And yes, I said
The question would be, how would you
it's,
know?
It's Yuppie, actually. It's Yuppie. It's not the
Sorry,
Expos
I
logo.
derailed
So
this.
I loved trying or renting, or if I liked it, purchasing baseball video games. I have a couple cards and dice baseball games that I play. Side note, there's a game called Replay Baseball, replaybb.com if you want to check it out. I simulated I had 20 great teams from the 1980s. It took me 12 years. I simulated a double round robin tournament with playoffs, rolling and managing both teams.
Nielsen is loving this. I can hear him in the other
Literally
studio.
took you 12 years. You
Yeah,
did this over
a
12
game
years.
took 30 to 45 minutes, but sometimes I'd go 4 months without playing.
Okay,
and then
that's
and then I'd
dedication. I
play
love
6
that.
games in a week.
Yeah.
So, but you have to keep track of the line. I kept track of all the stats. I downloaded a program. I actually contacted the guy, and he just sent me the link for the download for free with the password. So I kept stats. I just finished it like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So anyway, all these baseball games, the best baseball game I thought, and it wasn't out very long, and Kurt Schilling promoted it, and I think it's part of the reason he went bankrupt, was High Heat.
I remember High Heat.
High
baseball.
Heat was
remember that
outstanding.
one.
High Heat was outstanding. It had the best physics. It had the best schedule. Like you could pick a 37-game season, and it would make a schedule for you.
Wow.
It wasn't like you had to play 13 or 81 or 162. I thought now the MVP baseball, because that was the EA one.
That
Yeah.
was EA. And
I
then
thought
they
it
got
was-
the full deal for NFL, and they dropped baseball at that
Okay.
point in 05. I think 04 was the last
Yes,
one with Manny
correct.
Ramirez
And
on the
MVP
cover.
baseball,
that
was
one.
it called something else before?
Triple play.
MVP, triple
I
play.
also
Yes.
enjoyed
I had
triple
triple play, and I
Yeah.
didn't. I had triple play 2001 when I first got my PS2, and I didn't like it because it was either a strikeout or a line drive single that would go really low and hit the wall and bounce around, and you could.
No,
That's bad physics.
They must have fixed it. So I gave up on it,
was
though.
a huge one.
But and then the 2K, and then High Heat from PS2. The show is outstanding.
It
The
continues
show
to-
series
Yeah,
is
I
looks
heard there's
amazing.
good things about that
The
one.
show
Yes.
is
Was that the Kurt Schilling? Kurt Schilling put all his money into a video game company too.
9-8. Was it 9-8?
989 Studios.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds
So he was the cover boy, but then the show, which is made by Sony,
Yeah,
and the
it's
show's
just
one of the
PlayStation.
yes,
Yeah.
the show's might be the only sports game for about 6 or 7 years I bought every year, from probably 11 to 17 or 18.
MVP baseball
amazing.
05. That
05
that
was
last
last.
one.
Yes, you're right. Yes.
There is still a large contingent of people who play it on, I believe, PC, and they modify it every year, rosters, jerseys, everything, because they can mod those games, and it still continues to this day. They built the
I'll play it every so
stadiums.
often on PS2. just because I loved the gameplay and how to pitch.
It was
and
awesome.
hit.
Oh, nice.
It was really well done, and like it actually like this is the side part of it. I still like the game because they didn't have it in 04, but 05 they added it. Like it's cool to play the Trappers. Like it was awesome.
I didn't
to
know they
play
had
a
that.
AAA
They had
season, and you
all
could
the
be
way to
Edmonton
single A.
Trappers.
I always felt
but
that
it was it was the gameplay of the pitching I found was really. It wasn't easy, but it was user friendly, and it was nice to do.
Can you build your own
Player?
guy? Because
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I,
Oh,
yeah.
I on TikTok, I have some guy has put out this what is his name? Steroid Daddy Hack the Third that he I gotta send you these videos because there's all these
I love that
other
you're on
sports.
TikTok. Firstly,
Yeah, you're
but-
on TikTok.
Oh yeah, he's a 12-year-old orphan that's genetically engineered to hit dingers or whatever, and they're so funny and so well done. He's done one for soccer and UFC. And they're all related. They're just behemoths, and he's undefeated. He went 162-0 with the Oakland A's. The Oakland A's couldn't afford him. So now he's playing in Shanghai with $1 billion contract or something.
This is all on
TikTok. Yeah.
On
Wow.
TikTok.
Steroid Daddy Hack
I'll
the
have to look
Third,
that up.
I think, is what his name is.
This is you guys have really got me going now because I love this topic because I love baseball simulation games, not as much as I used to, but a big part of me is how good a baseball simulation was how it handled pitcher fatigue, because I know with some of these video games you'd start your ace, he'd throw 7 to 9 innings, his energy would be 15%, next day he'd be 60, and then he could start again. So you could start your ace every second or third day.
I think MVP actually was pretty good at that.
They probably fixed it. But I
think
just
that one
remember
was
there was a
good.
game or two where it was bad.
No, that makes sense.
One of the best experiences I had, a couple things. Sorry, you can tell me to shut up if I want, because I
No, please.
This is what the
this
show
is something I never get to talk about.
That's what this show is. That's what the point of
I
this
talk
is.
about some weird shit on Inside Sports. So
Plus, you're allowed to say that word.
yeah, oh, who's
Dusty's
doing
losing.
that?
Dusty.
You said
That's
something.
Dusty.
earlier.
Yes, you.
Yeah, he did.
We're
Yeah.
allowed to say
I'm not
it.
gonna. I'm
We're
not
allowed
gonna
to
get.
say
I'm
it.
not gonna get extreme
on
about
day
it.
No.
one, J-Mo threw that
Yeah.
out. He was the first
All right.
one to do it.
We've all done
Right.
it.
I have not yet.
You are an angel.
I want to go as long as possible until I
Yeah,
accidentally
sorry.
drop it.
All right.
I
No, this is
apologize
great.
to people who are offended.
Yeah.
So there was a game. It was late '90s. It was a series. The company was Sierra Sports, and they made sports games called Front Page Sports. They had Front Page Baseball and Front Page Football, and the baseball had all the major league players, and you could dump them into a fantasy draft and make your own teams. And it did a great job with pitcher fatigue. The graphics were not good. The gameplay was not good. For managing, it was incredible.
Yeah.
And it had something called one pitch mode. So you would just say, okay, I want to sacrifice, and it would only show you the result of the at-bat.
Oh.
So as I said, you could play games really fast. So that was good. And then there's another game that's still being made, and I have several seasons for this, though I've only completed a couple. It's excellent. I'm promoting all these companies. I should get something.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, you better
called-
send this to them after. Like, hey,
Yeah, we'll clip it.
should
Clip
give me
it,
3
Trav.
copies or
But
something.
like I look into all this stuff because for a while I would just like search stuff and try to find out all these things. It's called Diamond Mind, and I think the website is diamond/mind.com. And I got into it when I was in Lloyd about 20 years ago, and you'd actually have to get a CD in the mail. So you'd email them and be like, I want like 1974, 1986, and 1991. And they'd send you the discs, and you'd load them. And then you can do, for the season, you can do the as played. So the lineups are exactly as they were.
Wow.
Or you can
okay.
do, the computer will set the lineups based on these parameters, and I'll manage my own team. And same thing, like you can simulate games really fast. You can do pitch by pitch. You can go just the outcome of the at-bat. You could speed sim to the 7th inning, or pick an inning, really good. So if there's anybody that likes baseball and likes old seasons and simulating stuff, I'm serious, check out Diamond Mind. Okay, I'll stop talking about it.
That's fine. The simulation, I know it's big in soccer. Football Manager is like one of the biggest games in
It's
soccer.
huge.
It's massive, and like you could, like the database, if you want to have all the soccer leagues, is massive, and it's
Too many
that's
numbers.
a wild one.
No,
It's a
I wanna
really-
play the games.
That's a tough one to do.
Too
And
many
you can't
numbers.
play the game, I don't think, in that
Yeah,
one. It
no,
just
I would
sims
have
it.
zero.
And
I'd look
there's-
at this and be like, this is crap.
I almost bought F1 Manager, but then I watched about 6 hours of them simulating the races, and you'd never see me again. I would just I would become the lawnmower man with
Wait,
that
so
one.
you're not driving? You're just
You're building
the
your team
You're
and
the team
designing it
principal.
all.
You're
Wow.
going back into the factory and,
Wait,
and developing. And
do you get to make decisions mid-race?
Yeah.
Okay,
it's all about. Yeah,
You're running the race, and you're
too. It's
saying when
strategy.
to tires.
But you're
Actually
not
sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That would be fun.
Yeah, there's a YouTube channel that I follow.
And just before we head to break here, actually, one person, Coach C, says Madden is still pretty close with 2K basketball and whatever FIFA is called now as top games right now in the sporting world. He also does say NFL 2K5 is still the best.
I had that
was
one.
big.
It
That
was
one
really
was big.
good.
That's the one where it was like Madden's done.
Yeah.
Somebody beat it.
And then Madden just threw money at the end of
And
it.
then, it was just EA Sports after
The
that.
2K basketball is good. But it was 5 or 6 years since I bought it. But you can play all the old players like Magic
That's-
Johnson
yeah.
and put them in.
Dusty loves playing with Michael Jordan. Big MJ fan over there. Reid Wilkins, Joaquin Gage with you here on the EST Hangout alongside Matt Iwanek, Tom Gazzola. We're going to take a quick time out, just a few minutes, and then we'll be back with these two fine gentlemen. You're listening on EdmontonSportsTalk.com and watching on the Edmonton Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Two guys and a goalie.
I think we're going to see some big things from Evander Kane this year.
You think so? Like if he stays healthy, like
yeah.
40 goals or something?
He's used to Edmonton now. He's solidified, I think, his place in the dressing room. I think there's a comfort factor that takes a little bit of time.
Two guys and a goalie with Gager, Cassian, and Nielsen. Tuesday and Thursdays at noon. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk. The Elks Call is the newest Edmonton Elks podcast located in Edmonton, discussing everything Elks. Join friends of EST, Scout, and Catherine Friday nights at 8 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Join Murray McCourt and Curtis Stock for tips and tales from courses around Edmonton and area with the VIP Golf Show, presented by the Tailor Made Performance Center at the Ranch, Sundays at 8:30, only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Tom Gazzola and Sean Bell take you on a hot lap around the NHL with Hello Hockey, Saturday mornings at 10, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler, weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop, only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Join friend of EST, Guy Flaming, for The Pipeline Show, Monday nights at 8 and Saturday at noon, as he has you covered with CHL, CJHL, USHL, NAHL, NCAA, and U Sports, plus the World Juniors, Frozen Four, and NHL Draft on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Friend of EST, Eric Thomas, takes you around the track all the way to the checkered flag on Raceline Radio, Tuesday nights at 8 and Saturday morning at 9, only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Catch up with friends of EST, Andrew, Mike, and Kayla, as they get you in the huddle with the Edmonton Elks on the Turf District. Thursday nights at 8, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Wake up with the Nielsen Show with Dustin Nielsen and Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings 6 to 9 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. The Lock Shop.
We've been doing this for a long time. We spend all this time salivating over the season. Sometimes, if you haven't learned your lesson, you go hard betting on week 1. And then we get ready to get into week 3 of the season going, what the hell were we talking about for a month leading into the season? Because everything we thought was the case was wrong. So I always tread a little lightly. And I mean, I try not to make these so definitive takes. Things can change very, very quickly, or maybe they have and we just haven't seen it yet.
The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11, only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
And we're back here on the EST Hangout. Matt Wannick, Joaquin, Gage.
I don't know
all
where
ready
Reid
to
went.
go.
Yeah.
Gazola's out of the room. Reid's talking with Dusty, I guess. Dusty did bring us the new A&W chicken breakfast sandwich.
So good.
I've already crushed mine. You've crushed
I
yours.
just
Have
did,
you
yeah,
finished
delicious.
yours?
No, I don't want to. I hate when
Delicious.
people are eating on the
That is
because I get
delicious.
hungry and it sounds disgusting.
Yeah, no, it was great, and thank you, Dusty. Heel Dusty pulled that out today. We
Thank
had
you, Heel
a
Dusty.
big conversation.
You should have a segment where Dusty.
Welcome
has
back,
to,
Reid.
Hey there.
This is what we do. We just start and
We hang
you
out.
come in and out. Talking with Dusty.
I was talking to Dustin Nielsen.
The chair.
That sounded awful.
They do that.
Sure.
Yes.
Tommy, can you just close that door a little
Yeah,
bit?
there's
Please.
a chat going on there.
You should have a segment where Dusty tries new foods. I think with the palate of a 5-year-old.
Does he not like a lot of food?
He doesn't like vegetables. He doesn't like fruit. He grew up in interior BC. Didn't try peach till he was 30. I remember one time at the station. By the way, Reid Wilkins from 630 Ched, Joaquin, Gage. 2 guys and a goalie. Well, I'll use that one. Tom Gazzola, Matt Wannick with you here on the EST Hangout. Me and Jamie were sitting there, and Dusty came in. He's like, me and the fam, we're going to Taste of Edmonton. And
Nice.
we're like, awesome. Like, that's great. And he's like, what are you going to try? And he's like, I'm going to get steak bites. And me and Dave were like, you have steak bites every week during the NFL season. Like, why are you having steak bites? Well, that's something I know. And it's like, well, that's not the point of Taste of Edmonton.
No.
It's to go experience something different or try, cuisine you might not normally go
Steak in a
to.
different way, even.
Yeah.
So, we're like, go try something different. The next day he came back and we're like, so did you try something? He's like, yeah, I went to Japanese village and they did this rice with this sauce on it. It was really good.
Which it is good, by the way.
Yes,
it is
it
good, by
was
the way.
Dusty.
But yeah.
So try it, So no, he's
That's
where I'm with him on this one, but his chili, he doesn't want any beans in it. Eric's going to the Century Casino Sports Bar tonight for Thursday Night Football.
Yes.
Join him Fort Road. And there's this brisket cheesesteak that's
want it.
there.
Yeah.
And
Next week.
Eric was describing, he goes, there's onions, there's peppers on it. And Dusty's like, I don't want onions and I don't want peppers.
That's so.
So it's like all these, there's, if it has veggies or it has fruit, likely Dusty's going to say no.
Gager's disgusted right now by the thought of Dusty not, expanding his palate.
How do you have a cheesesteak without onions and peppers? That's part of the
Well,
cheesesteak.
but in Philly, which you've been
Yeah.
to,
They don't
it's
do that, do they?
Whiz Wit.
yeah.
It's,
Right.
And it's cheese whiz on the steak, on the proper bun, and wit is with onions. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the traditional. It's whiz wit, whiz wit out, or you get provolone, and that's how they do it, right?
Yeah.
But we've also expanded it. You get the green peppers and onions.
green
and
red peppers.
you get chili peppers
It
on
looks like a
there.
rainbow. Like it looks.
It
better.
can be, yeah.
Instead of just the regular look.
We did just get Dusty to try a coffee this week.
Latte.
He had a latte.
Oh, really?
Or was that
And
Friday?
he-
that was Friday.
Yeah, and he flies now.
And
he's just
and now
buzzing.
he's actually got a latte every day this week. We've got him hooked on the caffeine, which I don't know if that's gonna
How's
go
your
well.
blood
He's enjoying
pressure,
it,
Dusty?
but,
Is it okay?
I will say this, though. I'm a recent... I didn't start drinking coffee till about 6 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't have coffee every day. And if I do, it's one.
Yeah.
Because that's enough. But sometimes it's nice. I got a little coffee machine because a buddy was coming to stay with me, and his wife was like, he needs a morning coffee, so you can get coffee makers are not expensive, right?
No.
Just to get a little one. So yeah, and then I would have a coffee with him when he was staying with me. I was like, it's sometimes it's nice, or winter morning,
That
you don't have
warm
much to
drink,
do, you have it,
It's nice to sip on.
Yeah.
That's what I like it for.
But I don't understand everything. Like, what's a macchiato?
It's delicious
It's
and
all
expensive and
the
not
different,
nutritious.
amounts of the foam or milk or water that gets mixed in with the coffee or the espresso and all of that. So
Oh, okay.
You could get a chart and actually makes nice artwork. if you get it done nicely.
All the types
What?
of coffee.
Have you not
It
seen
makes
like
a
posters
nice
with it?
artwork?
It can make a nice little thing to throw up in a spot. Yeah, around your kitchen area.
Noted.
Just throwing it out there.
Like
You're still trying to design your whole
Yeah,
place. It's
you were
been
there
3
the other
months.
day.
you
There's
could put
nothing.
up
I
a
wait for
picture
my
of
mom to get back.
coffee.
What?
You could put up a
a
picture of a
different one.
coffee cup
I suppose I could.
next to your poster of Paul coffee. It could be
I don't have one of
double
those yet,
coffee.
but I suppose I could get one.
But it just worked perfectly. And it's my coffee wall.
It's like my coffee wall.
I don't fully understand the coffee culture. Now, having said that, I understand the craft beer culture a little more because I like trying craft beer. But like all the coffees, it's like I don't get it, and I still. I do get a little bit alarmed, and this is going to sound super judgmental, and a lot of people are going to be like, well, that's me. Like when people say, I can't function without a coffee. Like, seriously? You can't function without... I know there's some exaggeration involved,
Yeah.
but I'm just like, that's kind of a bad mindset to have.
Right.
You know, like, if somebody said, I can't function without cocaine, you would be alarmed. So, you know, I can't...
But
took a dark
coffee has a
turn.
little bit of health benefit. I don't think cocaine
Get your...
does.
Get you...
Gets you
It's
going.
all
Cleans
it is.
you out.
Yeah, in moderation's coffee is good for you.
I
can't say the same about cocaine.
yeah.
No, fair enough. Like, that was maybe a bad example. First thing that
Cocaine's
came
a
to
hell of a
mind for some
drug.
reason.
Don't
That's
do
not
it,
me.
kids.
I don't need the coffee to function. Like I could go days without having a coffee.
Okay, does
and I'm
anybody in
okay.
this room drink
But-
a coffee all day? Like, do they always
No.
have a coffee going?
One
No,
in the
they- I-
morning.
I
Really?
like to stop.
How do you sleep?
like a
like
baby.
an angel.
Really?
Yeah, no, I actually like sometimes I'll have a coffee late, and I like it because I can't fall asleep, but I'll go to bed at a reasonable time, and I find I just lay there and I just get completely relaxed, even though I'm on the cusp of, I can't fall asleep because I'm still got some caffeine, but I'm relaxed. I like it. I don't know why, but actually I have toned down my coffee consumption. I left it at my boss's place. I got to go by and get it today, but I have a Yeti coffee mug. And the reason why I was drinking so much is because it got cold. And I don't want it cold. You like the hot drink. So when I use the Yeti, it stays warm all day. So now I can just kind of sip it and not have to make more. So it works a lot better.
So when did you start drinking coffee?
Hamilton in what year was that?
So you were 20
Oh, that
something.
late?
Yeah,
Hangovers?
no, I never had it, and then I wasn't playing one game, and we were in Cops Coliseum, and it was cold. I was cold, and that we had a lot of guys drank coffee, and then so I go, you know what, I'm gonna have one of these, and I poured it, and I put a bunch of Coffee Mate in there, and it was all creamy and sugary, and I was like, this tastes delicious. And then I don't like the sugary drinks too much, so then I started. Like I said, I drink my coffee black, but
Yeah.
That's the way to go.
Hey,
Sometimes cream.
he does not like what's going on with our coffee maker.
I know he's
here.
telling me.
And I respect
you
that
just
very
take
much.
the lid off and it pours out a lot easier. That's the one key.
yeah,
I don't know what else your
broken.
problem is with it.
it's difficult.
How's it difficult?
He made a mess.
Yeah, when it leaks though, every time you pour it.
Well, would you like to buy us a brand new coffee pot?
I might have to.
You know,
Yeah.
Will brought us beans one day, and you could bring us a coffee pot.
Yeah.
My parents gave it to me for free, so I wasn't going to
Well,
say
it's
no.
nice
Oh,
because
that's
I was
nice of
excited because
I
it's
know,
got the fresh
but he's now
grind.
ripping on my parents, and now my parents are going to feel bad because Gage is ripping on the coffee
not-
pot.
they
They gave
should
you.
not
the
do that.
pot.
That's very
needs-
kind of you.
Yeah,
My
I like
mom's
the
watching
fresh
right
grind.
now, and she's crying.
The pot, the machine is fine itself. It's the pot that has the broken spout.
Yeah.
We need to do something.
All you
about
do is take the lid off. I've not spilled as it's pouring into my cup.
Okay.
He
well,
spilled everywhere.
I-
Well, that's
It's
okay.
a mess.
That's why there's things called napkins
Poor
and
Eric
paper
is
towels
swimming
and
in
stuff.
old coffee right now.
You just clean it. Well, you could go sit in the boardroom.
No, that's a spot.
He can make his own spot.
That is
Another
his spot.
That is his spot now.
Well, the coffee pot was there first.
I just feel bad for him. Okay.
Just airing dirty laundry right now. I do want to quickly mention, actually, if you would like to join the EST Hangout one day, we threw this out a couple days ago. Subscribe to Edmonton Sports Talk on your podcast feed, whatever you listen to. Subscribe to the Edmonton Sports Talk YouTube account and text it to us. Screen cap that, 780-218-9999, and you'll go into a draw to potentially sit in the Hangout one day. Jasmine's done it, Big Uke's done it, Kevin's done it, a few other people have done it. Subscribe to us on a podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and let us know by texting us screenshots, or you can tweet at us at YAG Sports Talk, and you will go into a draw for a chance to sit in the hangout. I like this in the nasty check. Dio Fishpea. Riveting sports talk. But the thing about the hangout is this isn't always sports talk.
We haven't really talked about. Well, yeah, we did.
We did.
Yeah, we have quite a bit.
And then Reid crapped on me.
Yeah.
Like he was like, "Why the hell are we talking
we
about
can
the
talk
Edmonton
about
Oilers?"
it.
We're good.
I thought we talked about it quite a bit.
Yeah, no, we talked about
sports
Lane
video games.
Peterson's defensive zone faceoffs
Yeah.
briefly, and then we moved on to
Actually,
dancing.
here's a story to bring up. Zach Wilson to the Edmonton Elks. Does that make any sense?
I'd rather see Josh Rosen.
The Jets guy?
Yeah, the story coming up, I don't know if it was late last night or early this
I
morning,
didn't see that.
is apparently if Zach Wilson, one of his next potential landing spots is the Edmonton Elks. They're one of, I think it was a betting favorite that he'd come here.
Why would he?
They
Why
have
would he
Trey
do
Ford
that?
and Taylor
How
Cornelius.
high was he drafted again?
Is he third?
He was
Or
quite
he
high.
second?
Yeah.
He was right up there because
I say Josh Rosen in jest, but was he not on their negotiation list at one point? Like,
there's a whole bunch
probably,
of people
yeah.
that get on
Yeah,
this
yeah.
negotiation
Chad Kelly
list.
was on the Elks negotiation
Wow,
list. And he got
that-
And
traded.
he apparently was never going to come to Edmonton.
he's a Toronto guy.
That's
he loves-
the one
he likes
story that
Toronto.
was. So let me pull up this story for you guys just so I can get it. The
Why would
CFL's
he-
being pegged as a potential landing spot for him as betting favorites. Go away, ad. The Elks are from Bovada Sportsbook. The Elks are priced at plus 350 to acquire Wilson.
They have a quarterback.
There is a
He was here
caveat
the other
though
day.
from the kind of the bet. It must be released from the NFL in 2023 and play in the CFL in 2023 or 2024. Apart from the Elks, the Ticats and Stamps are also the top teams on the board. Ticats at plus 450, Stamps at plus 650.
It was great having those two guys in here. by
Yeah,
the
they were
way.
great.
That's-
Gavin
Trey
Cobb
Ford and Gavin Cobb were
And then
Where's Trey Ford from?
City
Niagara.
guys.
Niagara, isn't there? Just
yeah.
outside
Niagara?
Niagara.
Okay.
Played in
Went to
Waterloo.
Waterloo.
Yeah. And then actually Dean Faithful, really nice guy. Like I talked to him after he
Faithful's
finished
great.
up the AM Nasty. He was great. Yeah.
Yeah. That was
Niagara
awesome.
Falls. Nailed it.
No.
For Trey Ford.
Well,
But
why-
I don't understand why the Elks would even like.
Why is
It's
Zach
not
Wilson
even
going?
selling
Why would he
done?
leave the
Yeah,
NFL?
I'm not even going to look at
Why would
30
you
other
sign him if you're
teams.
another team?
I'm going to CFL.
That's the other thing. If I'm one of the other 31 teams, do you look at Zach Wilson and go, yeah, that's the guy I want?
Well, I don't know. There's some quarterbacks who have done quite poorly
Yeah.
who still wind up as backups or third strings
Yeah.
somewhere. So I don't know.
That or do you try to go to the CFL to get a starting job, be like Chad Kelly, do really well, but being younger, you have a chance to go back to the NFL maybe as a better spot. Like I just like if he's coming here, I don't see why it would be Edmonton because you have Trey Ford.
Yeah.
And you don't need that NFL name to sell tickets because you're not going to throw away Trey Ford just to sell some tickets. Calgary makes sense in that sense. If Jake Mayer, they have question marks
Hamilton.
about him. Hamilton, Powell's been looking pretty good.
Yeah, I know.
But maybe them, there's a buzz in the CFL because this NFL quarterback's coming up here and the NFL will want to watch. I think there would be some media going, how's he doing? Could he come back here? But for the Elks, it just doesn't make any sense.
I know.
What was Troy Aikman referring to with the CFL offense?
Okay, so it's the motion.
Yeah.
So in the CFL,
Waggle.
the CFL, not all the receivers, but the slot receivers, the state end guys have to be set for the 7 guys on the line. The other guys can be sprinting towards the line of scrimmage at the snap of the ball. So you could have Terry Vaughn. He was good at it.
Maddie's favorite
Whoever. They can be
Love
sprinting
Terry Vaughn.
full speed when the ball is snapped. And that could be 3 or 4 guys.
Yeah.
In the NFL, you can have one guy in motion at the snap, and he has to be horizontal to the line of scrimmage. But what the Dolphins are doing is instead of just having a guy kind of jog across the formation so the quarterback can see what the safety and the linebackers do for coverage, guys who are actually quarterbacks are like, well, that's really a simple explanation, Reid. Yes, I'm just giving my version of it. So Hill or what's the other guy, Waddle, he was hurt last week, wasn't he?
Yeah.
For the 70
Yeah,
points.
he got
I think.
banged up.
But anyway, so they're sprinting along the line of scrimmage, and then at the snap of the ball, they're timing it so they go forward.
Okay.
So that way they still
They're
have
getting a
their
little bit of
speed
momentum.
going to get into the pattern. So so that's what, and I think Aaron Rodgers might have said something about it too. I remember I watched a video last year on YouTube of a guy who breaks down plays, and he said it's a CFL concept to have a receiver at full speed at the snap of the ball. Now, will they change the rule or or will other teams will probably copy it as best they can, and then defenses will adapt. So that's why he made the comparison.
I won't be surprised if NFL teams start bringing that up. Some coaches, every year they have the rules meetings and they throw out ideas, and I won't be surprised if that starts coming up, because the CFL was known over the NFL for being more of an offensive league.
Yeah.
For a long time, the passing league was the CFL, the running league was the NFL, and the NFL over the last 5-6 years has really closed that gap of the passing.
Well, they made a lot of rule changes to incorporate
in the 90s, I guess, if you will, or going into the 2000s, the passing game started really picking up.
Yeah.
But I think over the last little bit, it's now.
Well,
We can't say the CFL's better passing wise than the NFL, because they've fully caught up, if not passed a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, the NFL has embraced. It's funny. I mean, the NFL is the best football league in the world. We know that, but a lot of things that we see in the NFL, we saw first in the CFL.
Yes.
Every snap out of the shotgun or the pistol. That the CFL started doing that in the 90s.
It is the most. It's a huge innovative league.
You know, and then. The way they're figuring out how to use motion, and certainly now the NFL embracing mobile quarterbacks who can scramble. I mean, the Buffalo Bills, they're not the only team, but Ravens, obviously, they call running plays for their quarterback. Yep. It's not a passing play that's broken down and then they scramble. They call running plays for their quarterbacks, and outside runs where you got to set up blocking and he's got to find a hole and act like a running back. So that is interesting to me. I do think. I thought 2021 in the CFL was a really poor year offensively. The Grey Cup was good because that's the one that went to overtime. Yeah. Right? That was a great. Actually, the last two Grey Cups have been really good. I think this has been a good year in the CFL. The scores are higher.
It's picked up.
The quarterback play, it's maybe not the quarterbacks we expected. It's improved. There's been a lot of close games. I mean, I know people are saying, "What are you talking about? The Elks got shut out and couldn't score."
There's more teams in the league,
but there's other games like Ottawa going to overtime with Winnipeg, going to overtime with Calgary the next week. Toronto scores tons of points. Like Montreal had a comeback against somebody a couple weeks ago.
But even the Elks,
good games.
If you go since Winnipeg game, they had the lead going to have
the last
huge
7
lead.
games.
They won a few of those. The Calgary game they lost was in the final play of the game. The BC game, they had the ball at the end of the game with the chance to potentially go take the lead in the win. Every game that the Elks have had since that last shutout against BC, they've picked it back up and have been close games. So this CFL season actually has been unreal. I think it's 60% of games have come down to the final 3.
And what's the lowest scoring Elks game in the last 7? I think it's 25-23, the Labor Day rematch. I mean, it's been 37-29, 38-29. The Riders game, they won 36-27 or whatever it is.
High scoring.
There are points and there are more plays being made, and there are. I mean, that Crum kid in Ottawa, we're seeing what Ford can do. I want to ask you a question though. I was thinking of someone, you brought up Zach Wilson. I just want to ask you guys this: are you convinced that Chris Jones is sold on Trey Ford, even at this point?
I think he's forced into hitching his wagon to Trey Ford, but
You think?
Well, obviously, but is he sold on him? I know he definitely wasn't at the end of last year. I know he definitely wasn't to start the year.
And here's another question. Did Chris Jones draft Trey Ford to be a quarterback?
I've heard that maybe that's not the case.
Either a receiver or a wildcat quarterback.
Well, and then when they drafted him, then the rule change just happened right before that or just after that, where you could put two QBs on the field at the same time.
Fair.
And that might play into that, where you have a quarterback, but then you could throw Trey Ford out there and do some things. I want to say yes, he sold on Trey Ford, but as you say that, as I think I can't say it 100%. I literally, because look, the story is, and this isn't just from Chris Jones and the team, from a lot of others, he didn't practice well, and that's why he wasn't the starter right away. But there were other situations where late in that July, I guess, where you could have said, why aren't you giving this guy a try? Yeah. And the hands were tied. But then I could also go on the other side, how much was that Steve McAdoo maybe over Chris Jones? Because that whole change came, but I don't know.
You got to go with him now. He's so marketable. He's becoming the face of the franchise.
Well, I'll say
people are going to the game now to go because there's buzz about this guy.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, though. Yeah. I think whoever becomes the president of this team sits there and has to tell Chris Jones, "You're not getting rid of this guy."
No,
because
will Chris Jones be there next season?
I think he will now. Yeah. I think he will now, unless there's something behind the scenes that we don't know about. But I think he will. Even if they go 4-14 again, which they could, it'd be 4-6 under Ford with being competitive in pretty much every game.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to be shut out basically in 2 of the final 4 games type of 3 games that we'd then sit there and okay, maybe not.
And quite frankly, I think they'll probably beat Montreal.
Yeah.
You know, and who knows? The other Toronto's going to be extremely tough.
They might beat Winnipeg because second last week of the season for Winnipeg. Who knows where they'll be in resting people and stuff, and even Toronto. Who knows what? Actually, Chad Kelly will be playing in that one because it's the anniversary game.
Yeah, that one will be tough.
Yeah.
But like I do think Chris Jones and this team, their turnaround is enough. I think it's a hard thing to say we're getting rid of him.
Yeah, and the coach cap thing. This coach cap's stupid.
That's
so dumb.
Yeah.
I just also think like I don't think whoever the president's going to be, I think you sit there and go, okay, on the field you guys do well with this guy. Off the field we could sell this guy. Well, you're not getting rid of him for some unknown in the NFL or in the CFL or in the NCAA and replacing this guy. Not a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you brought somebody else in, even Zach Wilson, do you still not have to say he has to beat Trey Ford?
He would have to.
I don't know. Like,
because how do you even say that to Trey Ford? You've played well this past season.
Yeah.
Where some people have had the conversation, could he be in the MOP conversation? I don't think he should be, but that conversation's starting to creep up, and then all of a sudden, we're going to go for someone else.
That's why I don't understand the Zach Wilson thing. The other thing, too, is say you bring in a guy, again, hypothetical, like Zach Wilson, whatever. Now he's got to figure out the CFL game, and it takes a couple of years. We're talking going into this season with Cornelius being pegged as the starter. Well, it's his 3rd season. Around the 3rd season is when these guys start to either figure it out or bust. What will Cornelius be? Well, more on the bust side, obviously. Like, there's no more time to wait for a guy when you've got a guy that's doing it right now, that is marketable, that is Canadian, that is electric, that actually gets cheered when the team gets announced coming out of the tunnel. Whereas it was, before the people would be like,
Oh, he's changed.
Yes.
I don't know
so
if to
much
say
good
everything, but he's
momentum with
changed a
him.
lot. And I hope they do market him to some extent. I know they probably want to shelter the pressure on him a little bit, but I mean, we know everything they've been through, and you got to build up again. And I even go back to, I was disappointed, and I don't know if this was just Len's decision at the time or whatever. I liked Len a lot. I mean, I thought he tried hard. Not everything he did worked as president, but I thought he cared.
He's very friendly.
Yeah, and he's very personable. I mean, they won in 2015 with Riley, who was pretty much a dream. Mm-hmm. Great player, great interview, good looking. Like when he would come for his Tuesday morning quarterback with Morley, like there were some like women at the office who would make sure they were around. I'm serious. Yeah, because he's just got that presence.
You said really quickly. You said to me something. I think it was the 14-15 season before McDavid was drafted. Who is the most popular athlete in Edmonton right now? And I was like, you tell me. And you said, I think it's Mike Riley. And I said, I agree with you. It wasn't Taylor
I don't remember
Hall,
that conversation, but he was pretty popular.
It was a dark time in Oilers history, obviously, and Mike Riley was the guy.
Yeah, I mean, their football team wasn't as big as the Oilers, obviously, but at least, if you watched Riley play in 14 and 15, they were probably going to win.
Everybody knew who he was.
So they win
go ahead.
So they win the Grey Cup, and then the next spring or whenever, when they're starting a season ticket drive, the billboard is yellow background with green stripes. Tickets starting at $179. Like, why is Mike Riley not on a billboard holding the Grey Cup, with his shirt off or whatever, or some photo from some locker room photo of the guys with the Grey Cup?
Yeah.
And Morley still has one of the great play-by-play lines ever when Riley scored on that quarterback draw in the West Final to put the dagger in Calgary.
That was a great night. I watched from Washington that night.
Hey, Edmonton, there's your quarterback. Touchdown. Like,
that's a great line.
Hey, Edmonton, come see your quarterback.
Yeah.
And Mike Riley holding the Grey Cup. If you're a fan, or you want a fan, or maybe you want to get your kid involved in the feeling of following a sports team, who cares what the price is? We're gonna go see that guy.
Yeah.
No, I remember watching him, and he reminded me of like the Canadian Aaron Rodgers a little bit. The way he could move.
They know each other.
Yeah,
they went to the Green Bay camp together,
Yeah.
and they text with each other, and he had that similar style.
He looked like, and it was weird that he wasn't plastered all over the place too. I think they should do the same thing with Trey Ford. I mean,
Well, and I think this year in the offseason, they had the quarterbacks come in, and they were part of some marketing pictures and things like that. So I think that was part of a plan this offseason, this last one. But this next year, like in the winter, it should only thing you should see basically is Trey Ford.
yeah.
Like that's all you should see on anything that comes from the Edmonton Elks is his picture, his face, to be like, come watch this guy next season with your Edmonton Elks. He is your starting quarterback. Because I think you see it in the stands. There's reasons why the attendance has gone up at Commonwealth over the last few games. Winning does help. The Swifty promotion does help. But also watching Trey Ford, there's an excitement around him. And when he's on the field, you never know what he's going to be able to accomplish.
They're going to score. They're going to make plays, even if they don't win. And
he's going to do something himself.
Yeah.
That is just, how did he do that?
Yep.
You know, you get those moments. It's not at the same level. I know this, but it's like that McDavid. You watch me go, like, how was he possibly able to do this? You watch Trey Ford sometimes and you go, how did he see that hole? How did he make a play happen on this one?
Yeah.
He's just that impressive. Reid Wilkins and Joaquin Gage with us here in the EST Hangout. Matt Wannick, Tom Gazzola with you here. You could get in touch with us, 780-218-9999, or you can get in the nasty chat on YouTube. Also, I am wearing the Edmonton Sports Talk hat. Merch to come very soon with Edmonton Sports Talk, and our merch will be provided by the Hive Product Marketing, our official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk, promotion products that bring you the buzz. thehiveproductmarketing.com.
Great read.
That's all coming up in the next few weeks. Hopefully we'll have it. I keep saying that, but like we're trying to get there. People want things, and I'm just there's a lot going on. We're launching a beer. We're trying to do that. There's something else we haven't announced yet that I need to announce.
Do I even know about this?
The other one, yeah, you do.
Oh, okay.
We're not ready to go live with it yet.
Yeah.
Once we go live with it.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
So there's a lot.
The thing and the thing.
They're going to publish that erotic poetry you wrote me.
Nice.
That's between you and me, mister.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Not anymore.
Well, that was the one thing I wasn't supposed
You're
to
not
mention.
supposed to talk about
Not
that.
that was on the to mention. It was on the do not mention.
Erotic
list. Sorry.
poetry.
That butt tattoo is starting to make more sense.
I'm going to go into the text line. 780-218-9999. This one from...
just quickly. Joe says, I like unfiltered Reid Wilkins.
It's great. It's great. The stuff he says in the press box, some of the texts you send me, not fit for air.
I don't feel like I'm being that different than I am on my own show, but thank
Your
you.
My
Except I
Girlfriend
said a
texts are
swear word.
hilarious. I'm just going to say that. I'll leave it there.
Oh, those have been funny.
the photo-
Yes.
yeah, like,
Someday we'll share those.
This
and
guy.
Put those
This
in the book.
guy. Rusty Shackelford texts in 780-218-9999. Tommy, you showed off some of your collectibles on Instagram a few days ago in your office. Question for the others: what is a few memorable items that Reid, Gager, and Maddie have? Also, which sticks have you guys collected, if I can ask? Who wants to take that one first? Gager, did you collect stuff?
No, I should have. I had some pretty cool things. The one thing I wish, my dad, he sold it. Prick. He at the Spengler Cup, for winning, you would get an ounce of gold. So you got this little game, whatever.
That's
player of
cool.
the game. So I got one of those, and then my dad sold it. So, but
Interesting.
that was one thing I wish I had. But I got all the cool. I kept all my European jerseys that are, they got crap all over them. So those are treasured. Yeah, I didn't collect a lot of things when I was with Edmonton, which I probably should have. But yeah, I mean, you guys got my mask now. So.
Yeah, it's awesome. And there's a Joe Montana football that Murray McCourt brought in.
So, yeah, I wasn't too much. It's unfortunate because it means a lot more to you later.
Yeah,
right. So I managed to get a couple shutouts in Sweden, and my first shutout puck they put it on a plaque for me and stuff, and
I like those touches.
My Hart Trophy from the English League obviously is and stuff. But I have Sweden hockey games. I was voted best goalie, so I got a little trophy that from Sweden hockey games, which is so cool. I've got some neat stuff, but I wish I would add more. Let's just say that.
Yeah, Reader?
I have very little, but this is a boring answer. If you came to my house, you would have no inkling of what I do for a living, or probably even how much I like sports. I've had seasons tickets to the Elks since '97, so I have the three. So they've won the Grey Cup thrice You know I love that word.
Yes, you do. Confirmed.
Since we've had seasons tickets. So I have the Edmonton Journal covers like kind of plaque mounted from the day from the day after they won those Grey Cups, and those are hanging in my house. But I remember reading a few years ago, I read I think it was in Rolling Stone, an article about Kiss. Like they focused on Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. And you go to Gene Simmons's house and it's like there's the Kiss bobblehead, there's the poster from their tour, there's the Kiss coffin that they had made. Like it's just all
They're
the stuff.
marketing geniuses.
And then you go to
guys.
Paul Stanley's house and it's just like nothing. Like so,
he has a macchiato poster on his kitchen wall.
I'd be more of the Paul Stanley variety when it comes to sports memorabilia or stuff from work.
Maddie,
I just have Yankee stuff basically. I have a brick from Monument Park of the old Yankee Stadium.
That's cool. That's actually kind of.
I have and it's a full size one.
Yeah.
A grass that has been freezed or whatever. So a portion of grass from Yankee Stadium and some dirt from Yankee Stadium.
Oh, neat.
I don't mind that.
So like when it was closing, I bought a couple of those things online, and I do. Well, this just happened. I got a Terry Vaughn jersey signed.
That's cool.
Oh,
So,
sweet.
Like just this past time. So that I'm very excited about.
Some guys did their like in their man cave. Like I remember Ryan Smith had a few different homes here, but the one I forget which one it was, but Bill Ranford did it too. He had a stall put in his basement
cool.
where his TV and so it was his stall with goalie gear, but then he had his team little Conn Smythe and then Stanley Cups all placed in the stall with the equipment. And Ryan Smith had the same thing. So I was like,
Smitty built like an entire mini locker room, I think, in one of his houses, from what I saw.
So one was I think for his kids stuff, but then he had his own, just all his accomplishments, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
When you played, like in soccer, it is known like you try to exchange your kit after each match with someone. In hockey, does that happen a lot? Where you trying to like you meet with the other team or something, you try to exchange something on the ice? Like, is it okay to be like, hey, after the game, can I get your stick or something?
You only heard about guys doing that if it was a big dog retiring.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the famous one was Peter Nedved went up to Gretzky, or I don't know who it was, or maybe it was, and said, hey, can I have your stuff? And Gretz was like, yeah, sure, here, have it, whatever. But no, I mean, I wish I would have. It would be nice to have some of Doug Waite's stuff or Bill Grant, even Billy Ranford, Cujo's stuff. Cujo's stuff was cool. I wanted his pads because he had like a seal of approval on his.
I remember that.
On his pad. It was a big like medallion with Cujo, and it looked like it was all Latin around it. I was like.
Oh, like it was his own like self-approval thing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It was really cool. And I mean, you got to be really good to get one of those, I guess. I asked the manufacturers, and they said no.
Coach C says, I have a signed Joe Carter 93 World Series baseball.
Oh, amazing.
Probably my favorite piece
cool.
of memorabilia.
That's one of the greatest non-hockey moments in Canadian sports history.
That's
phenomenal.
How much would you compare them the Raptors win?
Oh, to me, the Blue Jays are bigger.
Blue Jays,
Like, is it also because it was the walk-off home run?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and plus they'd won the year before, which was pretty big. The Raptors was significant. Now, again, though, things, and you're gonna find this, Matthew.
I'm already starting to feel
things
older,
change as you get older. You're not, at least for me, I'm not as emotional about sports in the same way. Obviously, I was thrilled the Raptors win. I watched all
awesome
the games.
to watch. Yeah, it was cool.
You know, it was fun. But the Blue Jays winning. And I was, 20, I wasn't even 20 yet? No, I wasn't. I was 18 and 19, 92 and 93. Like the Expos as well. And then
Should have
the
won
Blue
in
Jays.
94.
And all those failures that the Blue Jays had. 85, 87 choking in the final week of the season. Losing playoffs in 89, 91 and 91, I think. I don't think they made the playoffs in 90. But all those losses that they had when they were good and should have won, to see them break through. It was pretty big, and I realize not everybody in Canada is a Blue Jays fan. Like I had a buddy who was a big Braves fan because they were on TBS.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I miss when you could watch Braves games on TBS.
But
before it went to Peachtree TV, it was great.
But I think because the Blue Jays became, I think for that window, they were, if not the premier franchise in Major League Baseball, they were right up there. Mm-hmm. They built Skydome. which was a huge deal at the time. I know it was the last of that breed of sort of cookie cutter, doomed, domed and doomed maybe. And they went out. They just paid money and got David Cohn or traded for him. They just traded for Ricky Henderson at the deadline and just moved the batting group because they could afford it. Yeah. So it was almost like, we're sick of being that. Like we know we're doing what the American teams do, but at least we can do it now. So it was a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
That was cool. Great. I remember that home. That sends chills. Nothing like baseball playoffs. Like I don't watch much in the regular season, if any, but especially if the Jays are playing, the crowd, you start to learn the batting order, you start to learn about the strategy, and you okay, this guy's coming up. Or
the thing about baseball playoffs is in the regular season, 162 games. I always said, if you win 100 games, you had an amazing season. That means you lost 62 times.
Yeah.
There's losses don't matter as much in the grand scheme of things for the season. But then you get to the best of 5 or best of 7. And it all just intensifies that much more. And that's what every pitch now really matters.
Yeah. Now it's best of 3, right? First round.
Right. And so it's just one of those baseball playoffs goes from the marathon to the sprint with the snap of a finger.
Yeah.
And that's what brings that intensity of baseball playoffs. They're my favorite playoffs of any of them.
I remember that, what is it, the World Cup of Baseball?
World Baseball Classic.
That was amazing to have that come down to two of the greatest players on the planet with Ohtani and Trout at the end of it, and looking at their stats and basically just going, I'm going to blow this by you. And that was just awesome. One of the best sporting moments I've seen in decades.
And they made a card of it.
Did they?
And I think Ohtani signed one to Trout.
Of course he did.
And he posted it because Trout's a big collector and big card guy. I wouldn't be surprised if he was aware of the crack pack. But Ohtani signed the card for him. I thought that was super cool. What will that be worth one day? What's it worth now? I don't think Trout would ever sell it, but that is such a cool memento capturing an amazing moment in sports.
Unreal. You'll never
a global stage.
There's not another sport that you can have two of the guys in the pinnacle at the top of their career facing off.
Not go toe to toe like that almost.
Yeah.
Back in the, I guess boxing would be something that you could do it. But soccer,
sport,
we had the World Cup where Messi went up against Mbappe, but it's not Messi and Mbappe. They're not taking the penalties against each other.
Right.
Yeah.
No. Right? Hockey, you're not doing that. And it's just, there's a difference between goalies and, forwards type thing in soccer and hockey and compared to pitcher and batter type things. So, basketball, you can't do it.
When Crosby and Ovechkin, that one series where they both got hat tricks, that was crazy.
Yeah. How often were they on the ice against each other? I don't remember, but that's especially I feel like the U.S. networks do it. Where it's Crosby versus McDavid. There's 2/3 of the game. Neither one of them is on the ice, right? It's not. It's not.
But it's the show, and America knows how to build the show.
Yeah.
That's why
They do a
Logan
great job
Paul
of
and Jake Paul or whatever their names are huge,
Right.
Because they could build a show, and there's a spectacle around it,
Right.
and people watch the spectacle. I got sucked into the McGregor Mayweather fight, because I'm a sucker for the spectacle. You give me something like that, I'm in.
Yeah.
Especially since McGregor probably won the first 3 rounds too.
Because Mayweather let him.
Oh yeah,
I stand by that.
Oh,
yeah,
of course. But he's
a showman
he's a
too.
showman.
He knew how to do it. So let's extend this. Let's make sure it's not a first round, 2-round thing. We'll go 7, 8, 9, whatever it went, 10 maybe.
Yeah.
And when he needed to end it, he ended it.
I remember being up in Slave Lake for watching that. We were doing a thing up there, and Gretzky was there. And he was saying that Floyd needs the money. That's why he's doing this.
Why else would you do it?
I guess.
He made him. He got the bag on that one. I think that's what the kids say.
Was it like 100 mil?
No, that was the Pacquiao, but it was.
That was Pacquiao.
Well, I think he was pretty close to the same for that. I think his check was he posted that. Well, let's take a quick look.
The check was even thicker.
No, it was he posted a picture of the full check that he got before the fight.
Yeah, and he puts a ton of money on himself too.
And didn't he put it on his pay-per-view or his promotion? It was his own promotion.
Mayweather was guaranteed 100 mil from that fight.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
He reportedly earned $280 million from the fight. McGregor had a guaranteed 30, and it ended up being about 130 million.
Wow.
Jeez.
Well, that's where that crappy whiskey came from, I guess.
Yeah. $280 million for one night.
I filled up my car with that stuff. Jesus.
I wish I was of the era of the boxing when it was.
Are you a boxing fan?
I've been into it, but it's not it's not huge right now, so it's not the same. But like when Pacquiao and Mayweather finally eventually fought, even though it was 5 years too late, I love the idea that it was like fight night was happening and everyone was like, the question was, are you watching the fight? You didn't have to explain what the fight was or anything. And
It wasn't a UFC.
it was, and you hunkered down. It was hard to find a place. You watched it, and I wish I was of the Ali era where that was a big deal.
I remember, this is really dating myself, but when Tyson, I think he got out of jail and fought, was it Peter McNeely?
Peter McNeely, who he destroyed. Yeah.
So my buddy, just getting out on our own and he had his own place, and when you ordered pay-per-view, you had to actually go to the cable provider.
We had to go there.
And you'd get a special box.
Really?
A decoder and hook it up to your TV.
Oh, man.
So, and you paid for this box, you paid for we went down and got this thing, we went back to his place, hooked it up, bunch of people came over, we got all ready, it was just done. Like within 45 seconds?
Yeah, it was very fast.
It was very fast.
I can't remember how quick it was.
Yeah,
but.
it's funny how far we've come with pay-per-view, because we had to go rent a special box to watch that fight.
Well, I didn't know you actually had to go get hardware for it.
Yeah, we had to actually go get hardware.
And then return it.
Yeah, and then return it.
So there'd be thousands of those. They had to have thousands of these for pay-per-views. That's amazing.
Well, I think at that time, not watching it at home,
I guess
it wasn't huge. It was you'd go to the sports bar or whatever, right? Or bars would show it. That's where
or like the houses, it would be parties.
Yeah, there'd be parties.
You all had to one house to watch it.
Who had the big screen?
Yeah.
Go to that place.
The 20-inch at that time.
Well, wasn't 62 like the big one back in the day, the old tube, and it had like concrete blocks at the bottom?
The wooden case.
Oh, man.
The wooden cabinet.
Yeah, those things are
Standard
heavy.
def couldn't see a thing. I don't know how we watched hockey back in the day. You can't see.
Well, I don't know how you watched anything. Like, that was such a jump to get to high def.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, even the game, though, it's hard to watch just where the game was back then to where it is now. I'm not going to lie.
It has
It's
changed.
faster. It's more skilled largely throughout the whole
Yeah, it is,
roster and stuff.
absolutely.
And, like, you go, when during COVID, when they were showing those replays of, like, the 80s, sometimes it was a little rough to watch. You're like, oh, I'm so glad where the game has come to. I know some people wish for that style of hockey still. I like where the game is right now.
Yeah, same. Well, I love and appreciate the speed and skill that these guys have. The one thing for me, and maybe it's barbaric, people have their own opinions, totally subjective. I think that the element of protecting yourself and the actually lack of protecting yourself and there being repercussions for being an idiot on the ice, that bothers me. Like, there is a reason why fighting should be in the game. And it's policing yourself, and that element of hockey right now that kind of doesn't exist anymore bothers me. If anything, if I'm going to nitpick the game, there's no accountability. You don't need a goon, but like I remember Lars Eller getting beat up by Brad Marchand a few years ago in preseason, because Lars Eller, who's like 7 inches taller than Brad Marchand, has his hands down by his hips, and he's waiting for the linesman to jump in.
Right.
Protect yourself. You're way bigger than him. Yeah. Don't let the little guy punch you in the face 10 times. And then I think it was Max Domi on Ekblad a year later. Very similar. It's like, yes, it's a fast sport. It's a physical sport. There's big hits we saw. Mark Stone get blown up by a rookie yesterday.
Yeah,
right?
Great.
And the rookie was ready to go. Like, he knew, I'm going to blow this guy up because he's in a vulnerable spot. He does it, makes a name for himself, and he's looking for the 3 guys coming at him. I appreciate the fact that he did that, and he's now the exception, whereas before it was the norm that if you did something on the ice, and incidents do happen because it is a physical sport, you protected yourself. And it didn't matter if you were the skill guy on the team or you were the tough guy on the team. You knew there was accountability, and you had to at least get your hands up and tie up the other guy. Now, these kids are eating punches and because they don't know.
They don't know. Fought. Yeah, something. I said this to Stoff in the summer because we started talking about fighting and the QMJHL rule. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I think you get a game per fight or additional or whatever. And even the Pietrangelo slash, like, that's an obvious dirty play. So Bob and I were talking again. Like, he's probably not going to have to fight anybody this year. Like, is Kane going to try to fight him? And he would just laugh.
Yeah.
But then the flip side, and I know I'm doing an Oilers-centric thing. I mean, the Oilers aren't angels. I'm sure you could go back and find Leon slashing somebody or whatever.
Yeah.
But just because that was an obvious example. So if Pietrangelo was going to do that and he doesn't have to fight, then suspend him. But the Department of Player Safety is confusing at best. I think it's honestly, it probably peaked under Shanahan, and there were still things there that didn't make sense. Like I just think it's been terrible all around the league the last couple of years. Because if you're Pietrangelo, I mean, you tell me, Joaquin, in that split second, I still think that's an intent to injure. Like if you're winding up and hacking a guy, maybe
he came from distance with his
right.
the stick
So
over
he knows
his head.
he knows
exactly what
he knows. Oh, I might as well do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's thinking, oh, I might get a game. I don't know if he's calculating the suspension in his head. But
Unlikely.
I mean, you've heard Brownie talk about how to make room for himself, and that's essentially what he did, right? Like, this guy's a little squirrely. Like, I don't care who you are. If you see Pietrangelo do that, and you're going to finish your checker, you're thinking, God, this guy might slash me over the shoulder after this. Like, you know, you never know. He'd get a penalty and stuff, but he was getting abused. The Oilers were doing such a good job of eliminating him that got him to the point where he retaliated that bad. But it didn't work. You saw in the last game they played, everyone was trying to get, like, Leon faked, like, hitting him, and he was...
Well, it worked for Pietrangelo.
Yeah,
it worked. He got them off their game.
It works. Like, sometimes being a little squirrely helps in certain situations. And, I mean, I'm with you, Tommy. I think they should get rid of the instigator rule. You don't have guys that are just like Neanderthals looking to go beat up someone.
Yeah.
And really, with the amount of cameras and the amount of people watching, you can almost see if it's premeditated, right? If a guy's like, he's going up to a guy and, you know, you see guys, let's do this. That's kind of instigating and stuff. But I don't think the instigator rule's required anymore, because a guy just can't jump off the bench, go grab Connor and start beating him up. It's not going to happen anymore. But it does police guys just play on that edge, that know that they're protected by a rule, referees, and not going on the power play for 5 minutes or whatever it happens.
We got to get out right away. Reid, thanks for coming in. What's the rest of your day look like?
I quickly just want to shout out this shirt. I believe it's a band of a listener named Roadhammer.
Nice.
Because he won one of my Canned Ham T-shirts. He's the champion of the Sylvan Lake Alliance of Wrestling, the SLAW, which Kellen Kennedy and I started, which is made up. I hope people know that. But he dropped off this shirt, so thank you, Roadhammer. I'm going to go to practice. Then I do my stuff on Chelsea on Ched between 2 and 5. And then I have Inside Sports from 7 to 8.
And people will be able to hear it. Also, once again, all Oilers season on 6:30, Ched and the Oilers.
Yeah, we have every
Radio
game.
Network.
And I will talk a lot of Oilers. And I do like talking Oilers, so I was just giving you a hard time.
No, that's fair. I think some people are surprised that I'm talking Oilers. Gage, you're back at noon with two guys and a goalie, you, Cass, and Dusty, ready to go, fired up.
Yeah, we'll probably talk some Oilers on that one.
Yeah.
Tommy, what are you up to
I'm going to go pick up some dog poop, because now I have to go walk the dog, apparently. And then I'll also be doing the pre- and post game right here on EST. Edmonton Sports Talk. But unlike Reid and Ched, we don't do every preseason game. We're going to do a select few. We'll do every regular season and playoff game. That we can guarantee. But thanks for asking, Maddie.
Remember to subscribe to the podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast. Subscribe to the EST YouTube channel. Send it to us, 780-218-9999. You'll go into a draw to fill in one of these chairs one day on the Hangout. Coming up next, it is the Lock Shop, Dusty, Huss. They'll get you set for the Thursday Nighter tonight. They'll also get you set for the Ryder Cup, which gets going either late tonight or early in the morning, as Europe and Team USA will meet. And then, like I said, noon, two guys and a goalie, Gager, a Dusty, and Cassian. I'm Matt Iwanek. Thanks for tuning in to the Hangout on this Thursday. We'll chat with you tomorrow.